Wake up! Wake up, wake up, wake up!
Good morning, Vietnam!
Hello there.
What's happening?
I feel the need for speed. Ow! Warrior, come to play.
Here's Johnny.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hello everyone and welcome to Cinemateq Live. My name is TJ and I'm going to be chatting with you tonight about all things related to movies, and maybe we'll play a computer game later in the evening too, because I feel like I started that thing back on my birthday and maybe we should continue it. Let's see, we got Dory in the chat, we got Eli in the chat. Hello one and all. Good to see you, good to have you here. As you can tell by the thumbnail of this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about Black Adam. I have not seen it. I have not seen it. I'm not planning on seeing it, to be quite honest, unless it makes it into the Oscars or the Cinemateq Film Awards in one of the effects categories, or maybe Best Superhero or Comic Book Film or what have you. But some of the reviews have started coming out for it, and a couple of the headlines have made me chuckle. So we're going to start in a minute just talking about some of those headlines. They're pretty good. So Dora, you saw Tar, you respect it, not really for you. Do you think it's true what people are saying based off what you've seen, that Cate Blanchett is now the front runner for Best Supporting Actress? Let's see, how much are we talking about Black Adam? So none of the things that I'll be talking about in regards to Black Adam are plot-wise. Like, I haven't seen it. I'm more doing a reaction to the reaction, if that makes sense. Getting real meta on this stream, you know. Basically, I just saw a bunch of headlines talking about the film that I thought were hilarious. Nothing is going to be going into spoilers, though, so you don't have to worry about that. Also, Don's here thinking it's Wordle time. Yeah, it might be Wordle time. Might actually be Wordle time. Oh yeah, Cate Blanchett is amazing. Rocco, get out of there. No. You've been sleeping all day. Why are you being a jerk now? Oh, Rocco's making an early appearance because he apparently needs attention right now. Oh, does it still say no live stream next week? Whoops. Yeah, I can change that. I should probably do that right now while I pet the kitty. There's his head. I'll do a proper tummy shot for him in a second. What's my thoughts on Bros? I haven't actually seen Bros. I did not see that one at TIFF. So I have no strong opinions about it one way or the other in terms of its quality. I do know that some of the people involved in making the film have said some things about how people aren't showing up for it, and they feel, I can't remember, do they feel let down by the LGBTQ plus community? Or were they just like, oh, straight people don't care about gay rom-coms? I think that was part of the news cycle of last week. I would like to see it eventually. I just have been very caught up with doing a Halloween video that came out on Saturday that hopefully you guys have checked out. And if not, please go do so. I rank all of the Halloween films, S tier to F tier, and oh my, there's some F tier films. But I do plan on going to the theater tomorrow and spending some time at the theater tomorrow, so maybe Bros will end up on my plate. Although I am prioritizing The Woman King because I kind of want a big old action film. Now, what was I actually doing here? Live stream supplements? Ah, yes. Typical ticker. Let's update that. Except for next Wednesday. Yeah, let's take that out. Don't want to be giving the people bad information. I will watch it after I see Halloween Ends. So in the tier list, I don't actually include Halloween Ends. I did a funny little YouTube trick where I do the 12 films up to Halloween Ends, and then I use the end screen to trick you to go watch my Halloween Ends review, which is a separate video. So if you're worried about Halloween Ends spoilers, you can check out the Halloween ranking video. And actually, my review doesn't have any spoilers in it either. Like, I went well out of my way, more so than a lot of other people that I've seen reviews for, in not talking about major plot points in Halloween Ends. Dory, before I went live, was hoping that I would do a 355-esque rant on Halloween Ends, which may end up coming a bit later. But yeah, that might happen. But if it does, I'll give everyone a heads up, because there are some things about it. Like, my main criticisms from a narrative perspective, like, they require a more in-depth analysis of the narrative and what happens in that film. It's just so fucking stupid. I guess the more I think about it, the more it falls in line with Halloween Kills and some of the themes they were setting up there. But my God. You think Black Adam is bad? Watch Halloween Ends. Oh, I have seen Halloween Ends. And I haven't actually seen Black Adam. The film comes out tomorrow or Friday. Yeah, it comes out tomorrow. I think there have been some preview screenings of it. I'm more going to be talking about just some of the reactions to the films, because I'm finding some of the headlines about Black Adam like pretty funny. So we're going to be talking about that. Spoilers to me is more than just plot points. Okay. I mean, well, you can still watch the Halloween ranking video without getting spoiled for Halloween Ends. Woman King was fun. Lashana Lynch made me pee in my pants. Is that a good thing? Rocco, don't rub your face on the microphone. That's not cool. That's live streaming etiquette 101, cat. Weren't you paying attention during my presentation? You've got some eye gunk. There we go. Get that out of the way. You can't have eye gunk on stream. That was also in the presentation. Ugh. You are not a camera-ready cat, although now you are. Now you're very handsome. All right, so let's take a look at some of these Black Adam headlines. Black Adam, as you all know, is the latest entry into the DCEU, the the cinematic universe that still thinks it can, even though they keep cutting projects from it and making it smaller and shifting dates. But hey, The Rock is here. The Rock is going to save us all, right? I mean, I'm sure they paid him a lot of money just for that reason. Why bother having Superman in your movies anymore when you could just have The Rock playing a very similar-ish kind of character? But apparently it is not all roses over in DCU land. What did I just tell you about rubbing your face on the microphone? Are you so starved for affection? You've just been sleeping all day. I should change your name to Black Adam, you big black cat. I have a cat on my lap, if anyone's wondering. So yeah, the first pro reviews of Black Adam are coming in, and they are not being very kind. I'm mostly just going to be looking at the headlines, because I obviously don't want to give spoilers for the film. But yeah, first one here from Slash Film. Black Adam review. A superhero movie, but worse. Yeah, that's not great. That's not great at all. You guys all know my opinions on superhero films. I am not the biggest fan of them, especially these days. And for a review to just come out and be like, it's like those things that you're not really that into, but it's also way worse than those. That's not good. That's not good. This review coming in from Whitney Siebold. I wonder if there's anything we can gain here. This is not plot related. Black Adam feels more like a hastily speed-read footnote than a feature. It's a jumbled mess of a movie that grabs great fistfuls of all too familiar blockbuster beats and throws them into a whirling, noisy centrifuge, hoping something cogent separates out. Oh my. See, this is the reason why I don't write reviews, because I could never write anything that good, right? I would never think of watching a superhero film and then say to myself, you know what? I'm going to compare this to a medical procedure. Not doing that. Get those clip mics. Oh, I do have one of those, but like they don't sound as good as this guy. The problem here is the cat. I'm sorry, Rocco. You are the problem. It's never roses in DC land. Yeah, I guess it hasn't been, eh? I mean, they had the Snyder Cut. Snyder Cut was okay. It's probably the best thing that they've put out, aside from like what, the first Wonder Woman, I guess. Oh, and the cat's gone. I guess he heard something. So now we can talk about Black Adam without the black cat. All right, let's move on to this next headline. I think these are gonna get better and better as we go on. Black Adam review. Dwayne Johnson's superhero debut is another catastrophe for DC's film universe. Catastrophe. Underline the word catastrophe and the fact that it is not the first catastrophe. This coming to us from David Elric. It's catastrophe. How often do you see the word catastrophe in the headline for a review? What happens when Hollywood's most risk-averse movie star collides with Hollywood's most risk-averse movie genre? Exactly what you expect. So I imagine what David here is alluding to is that this is not a film that takes chances. It's very much the exact same film you've seen 100 times before. I wonder if we're eventually going to get one of those things on YouTube where someone just like takes Iron Man as a movie and overlays it with Black Adam, and then you can just see like the story beats happen like at the same time. It's kind of like what someone did with the Hangover movies. I think maybe Hangover 1 or 2 or 2 or 3, you can actually overlay them, and like a lot of the same story beats happen at pretty much the exact same time. So yeah, maybe that's what we're thinking here. Oh, and if you're just joining in, please remember to like the live stream. I would appreciate it if you did that. Right now we're looking at Black Adam reviews, but staying away from spoilers, so don't you worry about it. Yep, Snyder Cut and World War II were their gems. Also, the newer Suicide Squad had its moments. I had hopes for Flash with Keaton, but you never know, they'll find a way to F it up. I mean, if that movie ever gets released. The internet is making a stupid stir for no reason. About what, Black Adam? I don't know. Unless you're talking about something else, Juress, please let me know. Well, Dwayne Johnson isn't an actor. He plays the Rock persona on film. Wonder Woman, then Aquaman. The rest fell off. I mean, Aquaman is way too CGI heavy, and it feels way too, like, piecemeal. Man, I was excited about this movie, but I don't know anymore. Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, I was never really excited for it. I thought that there was a shot that maybe it would work out, but according to these reviews, not really. So the answer provided by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's depressingly inevitable and inevitably depressing foray into the superhero industrial complex, I love that term, of course, is even simpler, exactly what you'd expect, only worse. Ooh, you left that part out. All due respect to whatever unique and illustrious history Black Adam may have developed since his DC Comics debut in 1945. I didn't even realize the character was that old. But the lifeless spectacle that director James Collet-Serra, who made some nifty thrillers before Jungle Cruise, reduced him to the John Ford of Rawson Marshall Thurbers, I don't even know what that means, has cobbled together for the character's big screen origin story is so exhaustingly derivative of other superhero movies that the ancient Egyptian antihero might as well not have any history at all. So I think, yeah, the main point that he's driving at here, that David is driving at here, is that the superhero genre as a whole has become so codified that when you do an origin story, there's one way you do it. You do it the Iron Man way. You do it the Doctor Strange way. You don't veer from this path. You only do what has worked before because you are sinking, presumably, hundreds of millions of dollars into this film. You're not going to take a chance. You're going to do what's safe. And I guess the result of that in this case is something that is so boring and tired that no one is really into it. Or rather, it's not doing enough to make people excited about it, at least the critics who are seeing it. Yes, about Black Adam. The fans who already went to see the film are raging out that Rotten Tomato scores are low. Like, you already don't value critic opinions anyway, so why does it matter? Yeah, I mean, I have seen a couple of positive things pop up about the film on Twitter, but for the most part, those are fan reactions. I know that when I was at the movie theater last week, I think it was on a Thursday. Wait, what did I even go see? I don't even remember. Why was I at the movie theater? Do I even like movies? I don't know. I don't know for sure. What did I see in the theater? Look at all these Exorcist movies. I went to see Halloween Ends. Yeah, I went to see the Thursday preview of Halloween Ends, of course. How could he forget about that movie? Very easily. And then yeah, there was an advanced screening because I think The Rock was in Toronto, so they were doing like the Toronto premiere, and The Rock was there, and he showed up. So I was in the same building as The Rock, I guess. Good for me. And so yeah, I think the people who went to that were pretty hyped about the film, but those are also going to be the people who are most primed to like the movie. Like the people who are entering into contests to go see the movie with The Rock in attendance are probably the ones who are going to feel like the best about it. It's probably not that dissimilar actually from going to see a film at like Midnight Madness. The Weird Al film is maybe a good example of this. The first reviews that came out about Weird Al from like just people on Twitter who went to see the Weird Al film at Midnight Madness were like, oh my god, it's incredible. And like even some of the critic reviews were very high. I was seeing like 8 out of 10s and 9 out of 10s. But then when I saw it in a non-Midnight Madness setting, I was like, it's fine. It's okay. It's like a 5 or 6 out of 10. Kind of feels like an internet movie. Some interesting jokes, some fun things going on. But it's not necessarily something that I would like rave about till the ends of the earth, right? And I know my opinion is not going to be the same as everyone's opinion, but I feel like when that movie actually gets out there into the ether, you're going to see the general opinion of it start to descend a little bit. Because once again, that Midnight Madness screening, that Midnight Madness audience, they are primed. And they've got Weird Al there in attendance and Daniel Radcliffe there in attendance. So when you are in that kind of a screening, it really hypes you up. And I think it allows you to forgive the film a bit more than you would if you were being like, you know, sitting at home, watching it, being critical, not having like hundreds of people all around you, reacting and exploding for all of these cool moments and stuff. Like that can sway your opinion on a film, right? So yeah, I think some of the initial fan reaction that we've seen for Black Adam, like a lot of those previews, I think The Rock was attending a few of them, and you know, it's the people who want the film to succeed the most who are going to be going to some of those early previews, entering those contests, which is why I imagine a lot of early fan reactions have been so positive. But now that the critics are out and chatting, they are not into it. Catastrophe once again being the highlight here. Also, all the YouTube reviews I've watched have said the film is mediocre. Yeah, I started seeing a few of those pop up. I guess the embargo just lifted. I mean, that would make sense with these reviews coming out today as well. Or yesterday, I guess, from the looks of it. And yeah, I've seen a couple of the thumbnails for them. I don't watch reviews. If there's a chance that I'm going to review a movie, I don't watch any other YouTube reviews, but I have seen some thumbnails with people being like, huh? Or like, oh, they're angry. You know, just YouTube faces all over the place. I'm guilty of doing the same thing. But yeah, I feel like it's not looking good for Black Adam. I can understand why we're getting a Black Adam movie and now Man of Steel 2. Get it together, DC. Yeah, you think they probably would have done like Man of Steel 2 first, but I think part of that was that they didn't really know what to do. Like the DCU was in such flux and just in such weird, like in just a weird state, especially considering like the Snyder Cut, the big fervor around that and trying to get that out. And then, you know, Wonder Woman 1984 not really being as successful as the first film, at least critically. I don't know about financially, but critically certainly wasn't as well liked. Mostly, I think, because of the whole like moral quandary that the main character kind of ignored when she started having sex with a dude who just had her ex-boyfriend's consciousness inside of him. Weird stuff. I think I'm going to go with my gut and skip it. There are way too many mediocre superheroes for me to go out of my way to pay to see one. I demand better from filmmakers. I agree with that. And I really don't think I'm going to see Black Adam until I am forced to. That's kind of how I'm thinking about it. And that was true before these reviews started coming out, and now I'm definitely more in that line. Plus, there are so many other films that I haven't seen yet. You know, I was looking at what was in theaters right now, and there's like that Saoirse Ronan film is still in theaters. I want to go see that one. I want to see The Woman King. I want to see other stuff. Moonage Daydream is still playing in a smaller theater near where I live, so I want to go check that out. Much more interested in those than this. But I also did see an article pop up saying that Black Adam is moving towards like a $160 million opening weekend, which is pretty good. You know, it's not Spider-Man No Way Home, it's not Avengers Endgame, but for an origin film, it's pretty good. So we're probably not done with these superhero films yet, everybody. It's probably going to be a few more decades of them before they really start to dry up. I mean, I don't Yeah, wait, they still have Henry Cavill. I mean, I assume so. I don't know if he's still under contract, but there's nothing to say that DC won't just like show up on his door with like a boatload of money and say like, okay, you're Superman again. And he's like, I guess I'm Superman again. You know, like that's all it's gonna take. But it doesn't matter if the film is straight dog shit. It's still gonna make a lot of money. Way too much hype. Dominion even made $1 billion. Yeah, I mean, it's. I think that Black Adam will probably because of Dwayne Johnson's star power. I don't know if it'll make $1 billion. What is it going to be, $1 billion film? If its domestic opening weekend is 160 million, it probably ends up somewhere between 400 and 500 domestically. Let's say 350 to 450 domestically. Then does it make up 600 million around the world? Maybe Black Adam can be $1 billion film. Although I feel like it's not. It's not quite. There's a chance that it won't. Aquaman made $1 billion, but it had fairly good word of mouth. People were talking about that movie and saying it's fun. It's a fun time. It's Jason Momoa being like, "Oh yeah!" Like it's a good like not a feel good movie, but it's a movie that will put a smile on your face in certain circumstances. I don't know if Black Adam is going to have that same word of mouth. Superheroes are the new Western. It's all cycles, baby. I saw Morbius and I liked it. I'll probably like Black Adam 2. Disney paid reviews to hurt DC movies. I mean, I don't know about that. But Morbius is like pretty bad. Cool. It's cool that you liked it, but like, man, I did not. Henry Cavill is back in The Flash for a cameo and also a cameo in Black Adam. Oh, really? All right. Hopefully that's not a spoiler for Black Adam. So let's move on here. This is the last headline I wanted to show you guys. This one's coming from Variety. Wonderful headline. Black Adam draws negative reviews. Dwayne Johnson's DV film is repetitive and this is my favorite part, anti-entertaining. I have never once in my life heard a film described as being anti-entertaining. Incredible use of just creating a new word, basically. Because, the implication here is that you go to a film to entertain you, to make you feel good, to make you feel like, oh, that was cool, like to stimulate you, to make you feel something deep inside your gut. And then here, Black Adam is anti-entertaining, which means it is actively attempting to make you feel bad, according to J. Kim Murphy. Incredible. I'm just going to quickly see what is going on here in this review. I'm going to keep away from spoilers, of course. The hierarchy of power in the DC universe may be about to change with Black Adam, but the new film is landing low on the hierarchy of critical reputation for Warner Brothers' last decade of superhero entries. Oh, I think this is an article about the reviews. Okay, hold on. With reviews hitting for a Dwayne Johnson vehicle this afternoon, Black Adam currently stands at a 32% approval rating from top critics on the review aggregate website Rotten Tomatoes. Among the website's broader group of approved critics is at a 54%. Should the top critics numbers stand, it would mark the lowest such figure for a DC film since 2017's Justice League, which netted a 23% approval rating from top critics and was so reviled among fans that a reworked version was eventually ordered by Warner Brothers, arriving in the form of Zack Snyder's Justice League in 2021. In a somewhat favorable review, positive things for Variety, chief film critic Peter DeBruge conceded that the film's whole purpose is to give Black Adam a suitably grand introduction on the assumption that he'll be pitted against a much more deserving adversary soon enough. So, okay. I guess maybe the complaint here is that he's just not fighting anyone cool or anyone name brand, which, I mean, you wouldn't really expect for an origin film. You just need to establish that he is powerful, right? And so any old villain that can do that will do. Most others have been less receptive to the origin story, though many have highlighted Johnson's performance as a key strength. Black Adam marks the star's first time anchoring a superhero film, blah, blah, blah. A job that the actor's physical physique and commercial dominance would suggest inevitable. In a lightly positive review, The Guardian's Peter Bradshaw said that Johnson's massive bulk, planet-sized head, and sly gift for deadpan humor all make him a great superhero. Writing for The Hollywood Reporter, critic John DeFore discussed the star's long attachment to Black Adam, writing that his passion project serves the character well, setting him up for adventures one hopes will be less predictable than this one. Yeah, I think they're even just going to become more predictable, probably. In his IGN review, Joshua Yell gave top marks to Johnson for making his Black Adam just as steely and imposing as in the comics. It actually seems like we're getting a lot of positive stuff here. When are we going to get to the negative bits? But he criticized the film for being packed with underdeveloped characters and an excessive number of repetitive action scenes to the point where its half-baked debate on what it means to be a hero is lost in all the noise. And I mean, that debate is kind of prevalent in the trailers, right? So we're already primed to be watching out for that stuff. Rolling Stone senior editor and film critic David Fear, great name, wrote that not even the pleasure of watching Johnson enter into a blockbuster template he seemed destined to dominate can make up for how generic, flavorless, and incoherent this is. Ooh, incoherent is never a word that I like to see about a film. That just means that it likely got chopped up and reshot a lot, and that there isn't a lot of coherence between the scenes and the narrative and all of that stuff. Okay, here we go. Anti-entertaining. Who said it, I guess? At the Wrap, Alonso Duralda called the film anti-entertaining and deemed it one of the most visually confounding of the major studio superhero sagas, between CG that's assaultively unappealing and rapid-fire editing that sucks the exhilaration right out of every fight scene. Ooh. Yeah, that says to me that I would not feel great about this movie. We're not going to go through all of these. I mean, we're basically at the end anyways. So yeah, from the sounds of it, critics are not happy. And as the person in that article did state, it is sitting at a 54% on Tomato Meter. We have no audience score yet, I assume because the film has not actually come out yet. Although if we go check it out over on Letterboxd, let's see what people are saying on it so far. It's got a 3 out of 5. I've heard that like with this stuff you can actually start seeing views. So it's been viewed 2,700 times, and most of those ratings are going into the 3 stars. So a lot of people just saying that it's kind of mid, I would guess, to use the parlance of the youth. Let's see what some of these guys are saying. Popular reviews. Black Adam initially struggles to find its footing, but once the Justice Society... Okay. I guess maybe there will be spoilers in this. I thought you were supposed to be able to mark reviews that they have... Oh, wait, Justice Society. That's in the trailers. Excuse me. That's not actually a spoiler. Dwayne Johnson's Anti-Hero presents an intriguing new dynamic to the DCU, one which I hope will be explored more than it was here as a film. Can be busy at times, solid visual effects, weak villain, post-credit scene got the biggest reaction of all. Well, all right. I guess there's something in the post-credits to watch out for. So, overall, yes, Black Adam doesn't look like it turned out to be too good of a movie, but it sounds like some people are actually a little bit happy with it. And who am I to debate with people's joy? Me, that's who. I will debate people's joy all I want. Let's see. Respect James Wan for Aquaman. I mean, he did all right. He did all right with Aquaman. It just feels there's just too much CGI in that movie, which I know is like a stupid thing to say because they spend a lot of it under the ocean and like what else are you going to do? But there's a lot of other scenes that had CGI that didn't need them if they just shot on location, you know? That old outdated concept. Well, most general audience members have much lower standards than critics, so I think it's going to get a lot of praise for being fun or a popcorn film. I hate that term, but yeah, people love those films. Yeah, for sure. And I also am not a fan of when people are just like, hey, man, you can't be too hard on it. It's not meant to win Oscars. It's not meant to blah, blah, blah this and blah, blah, blah that. I think it really underscores just how much their standards have gone down, right? Like when you look at the action blockbusters of the late 80s, we're talking about films like Die Hard, which is still held up as one of the best films of that decade and one of the best American films still to this day, like a top 200 American film. And nothing in the superhero genre outside of maybe one or two films has come anywhere close to being Die Hard. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that these studios know that they can just get away with it. That they have sufficiently lowered the expectations of the viewer. That particular phrase, "Oh, it's just a popcorn film," permeates so much throughout the culture that they can just get away with it. And so they do. Hello, TJ. I acted in an Alice in Wonderland courtroom skit on Saturday. It was a success. Well done. Well done. First time watches since last time. Grave of the Fireflies, Vampire Bat, Vampire, Road to Perdition. Nice. Trinity and Beyond, John Carpenter's Vampires, and Videodrome. I guess you were watching a lot of vampire stuff, eh? Is that on the Criterion? The Criterion channel? Is that where you were watching? Because I know they have like a vampire thing that is separate from like their Universal Horror and their 80s horror program for the month. Man, John Carpenter's Vampires. I love John Carpenter, but his late career work is not good. But I also still love it, you know? Like John Carpenter's Vampires and Ghosts of Mars, objectively bad films, but I still really like them because I saw them at a point in my life when I was just happy to be watching anything rated R that had like action and explosions in it, you know? Like Ice Cube yelling at Martian zombie ghost things and blowing them away with machine guns, which I guess is a thing you can do on the surface of Mars. It was great. It was a great time. Great times to be had. Sharknado deserves the best original screenplay Oscar. I mean, we can go back in time and try to make that happen. We can try. Maybe I should make that like a Patreon stretch goal or something like that. Thank you. Like, stop giving filmmakers a pass for making shit films. I'm not giving my money because you want a half-assed. Yeah, I don't even think it's like when we talk about the filmmakers in that regard. I think we're more saying like the studio as opposed to the actual directors. Because from what we've been hearing recently about how Marvel is actually now making these films, and maybe this is how they've been doing it all along now, but they actually go to principal, they go into production, principal photography, with like not a full script written. They basically shoot a bunch of stuff, put it all together, figure out what they need to fill in the gaps, and then they go back and they shoot that stuff, and then they just do CGI special effects for everything else. And they try to get it to fit together as best as they possibly can. And sometimes it works out okay, and sometimes it falls flat on its face and fails. And I think that's probably why the Blade movie has ended up getting delayed. Like, we know that the director moved on, but we've also heard people chatting about how Mahershala Ali is like not a big fan of how the film is being made. And I think that might come down to the process. Like, he may be the type of actor who doesn't like showing up on set and like doesn't know how a certain scene may fit into the film as a whole. You know, he may want to know the context of the scene in the film as a whole because he needs that information in order to get into the right mental state for that scene as Blade. You know, guy's only won a couple of Oscars. Maybe he doesn't know what he's talking about, but I feel like that may be something that we should be paying attention to. And I guess some actors are fine with it because they're just looking at the bag of money that Disney dropped off at their door, and others may not be interested in that. We also had, that little thing that popped up a couple of weeks ago. I think it was Leonardo DiCaprio giving advice to Timothée Chalamet, and apparently the advice was like, what was it? Was it don't do sequels in superhero films? Superhero films were definitely in there. Or don't do comic book movies or something like that. So yeah, it's... I think maybe there are some actors out there who have just decided like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do those films because I don't like the way that they're produced. And maybe we're gonna start hearing more stories about that. We're gonna start hearing more stories about that as time goes on. And as the critical acclaim of these superhero films continues to decline, as I assume that it will. Your thoughts on trailblazing movie star Anna May Wong will be the first Asian American to appear on U.S. currency. I think it's a good one. I'm all about it. Have they announced like which currency she's going to be on? John Carpenter's Vampires was a fun watch, though misogynistic. Oh, absolutely it is. It's got what's his name in it. James Woods. Of course it's going to be misogynistic. But yeah, Yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time. I remember it being fun, but yeah, I have no doubt that it's a misogynistic film. Throughout the years, there have been plenty of dumb comedies and exploitation films that have been panned by critics but loved by audiences. Yeah, for sure. I think Caitlin Denver's funny new film on Hulu, the movie is called Rosaline, puts a twist on Romeo and Juliet by retelling the story from Romeo's ex-girlfriend's point of view. Oh, I saw the trailer for that. I was kind of interested. In that one. And you think it's good? You think it's a good one? All right, I might have to put that on the watch list. Maybe that'll be like a film to watch in the lead up to Christmas. You know, something light but enjoyable, like Die Hard. I really hate when film Twitter points out differences between critics and audience scores and act like it's a new thing when it's not. Oh yeah, it's definitely not a new thing. I just think that maybe the voices of the audience are much louder now than they were before. Like in the past, it used to just be, you know, critics didn't like this film, but then it just made a lot of money anyways, right? Like I watched The Exorcist. I was planning on doing an Exorcist tier list video this week, but I am not going to be doing it. I ran out of steam today in terms of like writing and putting stuff together, and I'm not going to have time to do it tomorrow and Friday. So yeah, and I'm also just reevaluating stuff on the channel again, as I do. But yeah, I watched The Exorcist on Monday as well as a couple of all of the other Exorcist films, and I was reading up a bit on the history of the release of The Exorcist, and apparently the initial reviews towards The Exorcist were like very mixed. Like some critics were not a fan of that film. I imagine if Rotten Tomatoes existed back then, it would be looking at a Rotten Tomatoes score of like 60, 55%, right? Because some critics were just not into it. I think probably because of like the gore, the profanity, like, you know, the pearl clutchers would have been up in arms about The Exorcist. And so when The Exorcist was released, it was only released initially in like 24 cities or something like that, in between Canada and the United States. But then all of those screenings just started selling out. And the film eventually just opened up in more and more and more theaters. And then eventually it ended up making like, you know, $400 million in 1973, which in today's money, I'm sure is close to, if not over $1 billion. So yeah, you know, certainly critics and audiences can disagree on stuff. But I think, you know, as in the case of The Exorcist, and I see, Jerez, you're talking about The Thing here as well, given enough time, you know, we get it. We understand. We know what are the good films and what are the not good films. It's one of the reasons why we start when we start talking about like the Archive of Excellence, the sort of Cinemateq Hall of Fame. I don't like including, or I don't want to include votes for films from the 2000s and 2010s because I don't think that we are far enough away from them yet in order to properly gauge what were the best films of those decades, right? Even the 90s I'm a little bit iffy on, but I can't not include the 90s since, you know, 1990 was what, 30 years ago? I feel like, yeah, we probably have a good idea of what was good from 1990. 1999 though, I don't know. But yeah. Oh, the advice that Leo gave was don't do hard drugs or superhero movies. I wonder what Leo what does he think a hard drug is? What is the line for Leonardo DiCaprio? Mahershala Ali can't be that good of an actor. He only been nominated for an Oscar only twice. Yeah, but didn't he win both? He won both. He won for Moonlight and then he won for Green Book. Yeah, I heard that too. Speaking about Blade, the director and film maker left the production of the film itself right before it was supposed to start filming. Yeah, but that supposedly was due to like scheduling conflicts, which I think is kind of suspicious. I watched What Lies Beneath with my mom on Saturday. It was awesome. I don't think I've seen What Lies Beneath. What was awesome about it? I wonder why he specifically said superhero films. I know a lot can be bad, but I also remember that most people want money and recognition. So I saw, like, I don't know if this is the angle that Leo is coming from, but I did see a quote the other day from Christian Bale talking about his time on Thor, Love and Thunder. And what was his exact quote? He described it, I think, as it being like relentless, or like you don't really know what day of the week it is because all you're doing is acting in front of a green screen. Christian Bale comment. What did he say? Saying it's very easy to play a villain. I thought for sure he was like, oh, monotony. Yeah. Here we go. I'll switch over here. Christian Bale on the monotony of green screen acting in Thor: Love and Thunder. Is there just a quote? That's the first time I've done that. I mean, the definition of it is monotony. You've got good people. You've got other actors who are far more experienced at it than me. Can you differentiate one day from the next? No, absolutely not. You have no idea what to do. I couldn't even differentiate one stage from the next. They kept saying you're on stage 3. Well, it's like, which one is that? The blue one. They're like, yeah, but you're on stage 7. Which one is that? The blue one. I was like, where? So yeah, this may be one of the things that Leo is alluding to. It's not a lot of fun acting on those kinds of sets, and you know, Leo just might be the kind of actor who prefers being in real sets. Like, even though there's a lot of CGI in Titanic, a lot of those sets were also built, right? So that may be part of it. Let's head back to this view. The song, Exorcist 3 is freaking genius. Best jump scare movie history in that film. It's pretty good. I knew that jump scare was coming, and it still kind of got me. The nurse jump scare, yeah, Exorcist 3 is pretty great. I will be including the Exorcist films that were new to me, which are Exorcist 2, 3, and then both of the prequels, which is its own fascinating story. But yeah, I will be including them on my tier list for Patreon members at the mid-budget tier or higher. So if you'd like to see that, head on over to Patreon and subscribe at the mid-budget tier or higher. You also get monthly frame guests, access to the Discord, all kinds of good stuff. The song Rambling Man, another misogynistic horror movie is Tobe Hooper's Life Force. Yeah, something about just films being misogynistic, right? It's almost like it's been happening for years and decades and centuries. Is Lance Henriksen in that too? Wait, in which one? In Blade? I wonder why he specifically said superhero film. Oh, yeah. We already talked about that. A good input to this conversation is spoof movies. Like, those literally are meant to be not great, right? I don't know. Like, Airplane is considered a classic, right? And, you know, me being a stupid kid who was born in the mid-'80s, I think that Kung Pao Enter the Fist is incredible. I think that's an incredible movie. I know it's not good, but I love it. But there are some spoofs that are considered to be, like, great movies. Airplane, Naked Gun is another one. A lot of it has to do with, like, I think the point that they were released in history, you know? Like, I think that satire these days is no longer really what film does, you know? I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but I think maybe satire is dead in a lot of ways. And maybe Twitter killed it. Maybe. Also, Olivia Colman's birthday. Wait, what? Christian Bale and Dick Cheney have the same birthday? Oh, cool. And Olivia Colman's. Nice. Damn it, Bale. I told you the blue one 5 times. Well, you know what they say about superhero films. They're not good. Spoof movies can be great, but they've been done to death now that the market is oversaturated with bad ones. Airplane, Spaceballs, Scream, etc. It's kind of hilarious. I never really think of Scream as a spoof movie, but it is meant to be satire. It is meant. Well, it's meant to be a meta film more than anything else. Whether or not it's satire, I don't know. I think maybe it's a little bit too. It's a little bit too serious, you know. Like Scary Movie is a spoof movie. I Know What You Did Last Friday. Or wait, Scream If You Know What I Did Last Friday the 13th. Is that one? That's like another spoof of those movies, which I think I might be the only person who's ever seen. Scream If You Know What I Did Last Halloween. Scream If You Know What I Did Last Summer. Shriek If You Know What I Did Last Friday the 13th. Is that what I'm thinking of? Probably. Yeah. Has anyone seen this movie? Shriek If You Know What I Did Last Friday the 13th. It's a direct-to-video horror slasher parody film. It's got Tom Arnold and Coolio in it. R.I.P. So yeah, they parody, what is it, Scream, Friday the 13th, Halloween, A Nightmare on Elm Street, I Know What You Did Last Summer. It is often compared to Scary Movie, a commercially successful spoof from the same year, which had a working title of Scream If You Know What I Did Last Halloween. So yeah, this one, not great. Not great. But I do remember seeing it on the Movie Network way back in the day, and I didn't hate it. In fact, I really liked it when I was a kid. Wait a minute. It has Julie Benz in it. Wait, Simon Rex is in this? No way. And his character name is Slab of Beef? Yo! Yes! Danny Strong plays a character named Boner. I do remember that, actually. Oh, yeah, Coolio plays the principal. Principal interest, or the administrator formerly known as principal. Jesus Christ. Shirley Jones is in this, too. Rosemarie. I'm trying to see if there's anyone. Dan Herman. Sounds familiar. Ming Stoll. Yeah. This is, like, not a good movie, but, I mean, obviously, the film holds a 14% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, but only 7 critics have seen it. Maybe I should get, like, tomato rated or whatever and get that up. But this is kind of fun. It's kind of a fun movie. If you're tired of seeing a scary movie and you want a new parody movie for that time period, this one. Shriek If You Know What I Did Last Friday the 13th. But also don't come complaining to me when it turns out to be bad. Because I know that it's bad. I know that it's bad. I heard they're doing another Naked Gun with Liam Neeson. That's going to be so good. That'll be interesting, actually. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, Liam Neeson would be kind of perfect for that. Yeah, I'm into that. Young Frankenstein, or Frankenstein, excuse me, greatest spoof movie. I also like Silent Movie is good. Pretty much anything that Mel Brooks was doing at the time. The First Planet of the Apes is sort of a social satire. Oh, it's a social satire for sure. Well, it's a social commentary, definitely. To the amount that it's satire, I don't know. I always equate satire with at least some form of comedy, and I don't know if The First Planet of the Apes was meant to be comedic. You know, it's campy, certainly, but I don't think it was meant to be comedic. Preston, your internet sucks. Well, that's too bad. But hello, I'm doing good, thank you. How are you? A good spoof movie I've seen a million times is CB4 with Chris Rock. What is it? What is it parrot? What is it satirizing? CB4. That sounds like a basketball player's name. Let's see. Saludos desde Argentina. Hello, Roberto. I think you just said hello from Argentina. So hello from Toronto. Hello right back to you. I know everyone hated Epic Movie, but man, I was laughing my ass off in that movie. Oh, that's, yeah. The different parodies that came out in the aftermath of Scary Movie. CB4 is making fun of rappers. Nice. Who's in it? Deezer D, an American rapper. Alan Payne. Ooh, Phil Hartman's in it. Nice. Chris Elliott. Nice. Right on. Albert, an aspiring rapper and suburban kid who idolizes the gangster rappers he sees on TV, and his friends Euripides and Otis decide that they want to start a rap group. Unfortunately, even though all three of them are talented, they have no connections and no image with which they can market themselves. In order to get their name heard and build up a reputation, they appeal to local crime kingpin and nightclub owner Gusto, along with his sidekick and henchman 40 Dog, to ask for a spot on the bill at his club. And I'm sure it just spirals out from there. Oh, Isaac Hayes. Oh, he plays the owner. Cool. Richard Grant also is in this. Who else? William E. Pugh. I wonder if he's... Oh, cameos. Ice-T, Halle Berry, Ice Cube, Flava Flav, Shaquille O'Neal, Eazy-E, Tommy Davidson, and the Butthole Surfers. What? What are the Butthole Surfers doing in this movie? I mean, okay. That's cool. What is the soundtrack for this like? Like, what kind of songs are we talking about back there? Producers, we got KRS-One. Oh, wait. Performed by Boogie Down Productions. MC Ren. That's cool. Ren was from NWA, I believe, if I remember my hip-hop correctly. Beastie Boys with a song. Blackstreet. Daddy-O with a few others. I wonder if any hit singles came out of this. Doesn't look like it. Straight Outta Low Cash. Dory, I don't even know. I don't even know. I mean, I assume it's a reference to the film. You can surf on buttholes? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. The Butthole Surfers prove that. I don't know what their big claim to fame song is, though. Discography. Do I recognize any of these? I think I've mostly only ever experienced Butthole Surfers on soundtracks for movies in like the 90s. I bet they have a song on the Hackers soundtrack, actually. Wait, can I look at that? Like appearances? Albums, extended plays, compilation. Yes. Oh yeah, they've been on a lot of compilations. Let's see if we can find some movie things. Yeah. Oh my god, starting in 1993, they're just in a bunch. Son-in-Law, Brain Scan, Love in a 45, Dumb and Dumber, original soundtrack from Fox Hunt, music from and inspired by John Carpenter's Escape from L.A. Yeah, that one makes sense. William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. That would be the Baz Luhrmann one. Beavis and Butthead Do America. Spawn the album. That one I definitely owned. Wait, what was on that record? Well, let's go into this. Let's take a trip down music memory lane with TJ. So obviously there is the song Satan, which is great. It doesn't really tell me who it was performed by. Artists. Orbital and Kurt Hammett. Yo, that's sick, actually. Oh, this was probably one of those. Yeah, this was probably one of those soundtracks where they paired like a metal/rock person with like a with a hip hop or electronic person to remix it. So you got like Filter and Crystal Method, Marilyn Manson and Sneaky Pimps, Korn and the Dust Brothers, Butthole Surfers and Moby. That'd probably be kind of cool. For whom the Metallica with DJ Spooky, Stabbing Westward. Oh my god. The Prodigy and Tom Morello. Yo, that sounds cool. Silverchair and Vitro. I probably heard that song. What else we got? Incubus and DJ Greyjoy. Slayer and Atari Teenage Riot. Ooh, that would be interesting. Yeah, I bet this would be kind of an interesting one to listen to. It kind of reminds me a bit of the what is it? The Mortal Kombat soundtracks for the first movie and for Annihilation. They've got some of the same kind of stuff going on in them. I'm pissed at how awful my internet is, but otherwise I'm good. Nice. Fight Club is satire. I mean, that's another one where I'd say it's social commentary. I don't think Fight Club is meant to be funny. Fight Club and American Psycho are great satires. Man, maybe I just don't know the definition of satire. I'm boycotting Glass Onion. They killed off Chris Evans before the film started. Don, don't you dare boycott Glass Onion. It's going to be one of the best reviewed films of the year. People are going to love that goddamn movie. I forgot Cabin in the Woods. That's a good example of a satire. I think that's probably, or at least maybe a spoof or a parody. That's probably one of the best ones we've had in the last 10 years, 10 to 15 years. Fun fact, Monday was Eminem's birthday along with Michael McKean. The initials are both Eminem. Nice. Wet Hot American Summer is a great spoof movie. Yeah, that's another really good example. I've got to watch this movie. Oh, talking about CB4 or talking about Spawn? But where am I, Chris Evans? Don, I'm sorry, but Chris Evans is going to be in all of the other movies. Are you actually that starved for Chris Evans? Like, the dude is not exactly taking a break from acting. He was just in The Green Man. Excuse me, can we just get a look at his frickin' filmography, please? Film, yeah, let's just check. Wait, he was in TMNT. He played Casey Jones? Oh, voice role. Oh, right. Okay. Anyways, just in The Gray Man, just in Lightyear. That's 2 movies in this year already. Plus, he's got 2 more coming out. He was in 2 films last year, although one of them was a cameo. Fair enough. Actually, both of them were a cameo. Is he taking a bit of a break? He did have a very busy 2019. Gray Man, you colorist. Wait, what? Oh, okay. I see what's going on here. Spaceballs is one of my favorite spoofs. Nice. Preston, if you look it up, there was a billboard in Toronto that was an original advertisement for Spaceballs that just never came down and deteriorated over the years, and they just removed it like a couple of weeks ago. So I think there's like some articles about it floating around where you can see like what the final billboard actually looked like. But yeah, Spaceballs has been has been promoted in Toronto for like a couple of decades. Also, knock against Chris Evans, it looks like he's been the narrator for 2 documentaries, television documentaries about the New England Patriots, Patriots, which says to me he's a Patriots fan, and that is a huge red flag. If you cheer for the Patriots, I just assume that you're a bad person. Is he from Boston? Or is he from New England? Chris Evans, tell me about your life. He is from Boston. Ooh, I don't know about Chris Evans anymore. That means he's probably a Brewer or a Bruins fan too. Boo on that. Boo to him. He made the Free Guy cameo the most epic moment. It was better than Die Hard. That cameo was better than the entire Die Hard movie? I don't know about that. Bruins fan. Well, Eli, I guess I'll let it slide because I don't really pay attention to hockey anymore. But I grew up in a Canadiens household, so you know that we're not the biggest fans of each other's teams. L Patriots, go Packers. I kind of wish I had an NFL team, but I don't. I just watch whatever's on. I saw the Buffalo game on the weekend. That was pretty good. I think they won. Search up Chris Evans, John Krasinski, car Super Bowl ad. We don't watch copyrighted stuff on here anymore. Never thought about that, though. Can we watch it? No, I don't really watch copyrighted stuff anymore. Unless it's my birthday and I'm drunk and I'm just throwing on music and I don't care. But yeah, I don't bother with copyrighted stuff because like whatever little bits of viewership I'm able to eke out on here, I don't want that to be gobbled up by Netflix or something like that. I'd love to see Patrick Wilson spoof Tom Brady on SNL. Patrick Wilson? Does he have the look? Oh, Patrick Wilson. Yeah. That'd be great. Just be a Minnesota fan. I mean, I think they're having a good run this year. And a friend of mine is a Vikings fan, so sometimes when the Vikings actually make it to the playoffs, I'll go watch the Vikings game with her. But like I said, like I don't really watch the NFL that much unless I've got like literally nothing else to do, or like I just am not in the mood to do anything else, and it's like I guess I'll watch the NFL game for like an hour. But yeah, NFL really only appeals to me when they get to the playoffs, and that's really it. You know, I'm very selective with my sports time, although I do watch a lot of Liverpool. How is Halloween Ends? Oh, do you guys want me to talk about Halloween Ends now? All right, I'll try to talk about it a bit. I do have a review for it up on the channel, so I encourage you to go check that out, along with the Halloween tier list. But yeah, I can talk briefly about Halloween Ends. I will say to you that it is a film that... trying to figure out how to say this without getting into spoilers immediately. If you did not like the direction that Halloween Kills went in, then you probably will not have very high opinions of Halloween Ends. And I think actually I'll just say that I'm probably going to end up like brushing up against spoilers, so be warned and come back in a few minutes. But basically, David Gordon Green, after doing the first Halloween back in 2018, I think decided that he wanted to go in a different direction for the franchise. And so his way of doing that was to try to look at the effect that Michael Myers has on a community, right? Not just on the individual level. So in the very first Halloween back in 1978, you had the effect of Michael Myers on the individual, on Laurie Strode, on Laurie Strode's friends. But you never got to see what the aftermath of that was unless you watched, Halloween 2 and 4 and 5 and 6. And those are all not as good as the original. Let's just say that. If you want to know my full opinions, once again, Halloween tier list video. And so when we get to the 2018 version, we still are looking at the effect of Michael Myers on the individual, on Laurie Strode, specifically on Laurie Strode and how Michael Myers had affected her, and then how that in turn had affected her relationship with her family. So her relationship with her daughter and her granddaughter specifically. We also see how Laurie's state of mind had been affected to the point where she became basically a doomer prepper type person, turning her entire house into a trap, training her daughter how to fight, how to use a gun, how to use a knife, whatever, all that stuff. which then led to her daughter being taken away from her by Child Protective Services when I guess she was 8 to 12 years old, something like that, fairly young. And then we get to Halloween Kills, and that film doesn't really, like, that film takes place in the exact same evening as Halloween. So it's trying to do what the original Halloween 2 did, except doing it on a more societal level, or at least a more community level. All of these people who were initially traumatized by the original attacks back in 1978 are now finding out about what happened in the 2018 Halloween night, and their reaction to it is panic, is their reaction to it is panic, is mobs, is how are we as a community going to deal with this thing that is threatening us, right? And for that reason, I wasn't a big fan of Halloween Kills when I first saw it. I thought that the way that the mob was portrayed was very rudimentary, but I guess mobs are not known for their nuance, so I guess that kind of makes sense. But I did feel that a lot of what happened in the film is kind of just dumb. It's just dumb. But once again, if you're trying to depict mob mentality, maybe you do show them at their worst, right? Because as soon as someone, if you're with enough people and someone says, "Hey, let's go do that thing," you're gonna go do that thing because you don't want to be excluded. You get caught up in everything that the mob is doing, right? So then Halloween Ends kind of continues that, and obviously they can't just do like a mob thing again. So they look at the effects that the mass trauma of 1978 and 2018 combined as traumas to a community, what that effect had on the town 4 years later. And the way that they explore that is, I think, divisive because it sidelines Michael Myers. And now we're going to get into big spoiler territory. But I'll still keep some things vague. Michael Myers in Halloween Ends is a cave troll. He literally lives under a bridge. And so a lot of the terror, a lot of the frightening parts of Halloween Ends are not really related to Michael Myers. And that, I think, is the biggest betrayal of the film. It's a Halloween movie. I know the Halloween movies have been a lot of different things over the years. Halloween 3 wasn't even a slasher movie. It didn't even have Michael Myers in it. But I think if you have been setting up this kind of Laurie versus Michael Myers thing, like we did in Halloween and Halloween Kills, then that should be the linchpin of Halloween Ends. You can certainly approach it in a different way if you want to, but it seems like this film, Halloween Ends, is taking great big steps to kind of avoid Michael Myers versus Laurie Strode until it eventually just concedes the fact that that is how the film must end, right? And I'm not going to tell you what the ending was. I'm not going to spoil that. But that's essentially how Halloween Ends plays out. It's a lot of things that I personally was not invested in or cared about, but I also understand where the filmmaker was coming from a thematic standpoint, because once again, he's looking at how tragedy and how trauma can affect people on the community level. However, the treatment of Michael Myers in the film I thought was pretty disrespectful, honestly, and that really put a bad taste in my mouth. Beyond that, some of what happens in the film is just terrible. Like, there are just terrible scenes in the film. I allude to this in my, I think I explicitly stated in my review, but there are these scenes in the early part of the film where Laurie Strode and Officer Hawkins run into each other at a grocery store, and they're saying lines to one another, but they are not having a conversation. It almost seemed like the director wanted them to do improv, but then neither of them is very good at improv. And so what you get is just like these little bits of terribleness edited together because it's the most sense they could make out of something that was absolutely nonsensical. There are like call and response type moments in these conversations where if you just like were to read out the lines one after the other, they wouldn't make sense in any kind of context. They just don't. It's bad. It's embarrassing. I actually, like, during one of these scenes, I kind of just put like my hands up like this in the theater. I was like, what? Like, I couldn't believe it. I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed by what was going on in front of my eyeballs. It was stunning how poorly some of these scenes were constructed. There's also some other stuff going on in the film which I think also turned people off, and that is how certain characters kind of just change for the sake of the film being different. Or maybe that's not for the sake of the film being different, but some characters are just very different at the beginning of the film. The chief among them is Laurie Strode. We did get in Halloween and Halloween Kills the prepper, the doomer, the fighter, the person who's going to walk around with a knife even though she just got out of surgery and tore her stitches, like that kind of stuff. And then at the beginning of Halloween Ends, like, it kind of does a Palpatine Lives type moment where it just sort of changes the narrative immediately and changes the characters immediately without really giving you anything, without giving you any kind of notion as to why this would happen. They try to explain it in, you know, a VO that begins it from Laurie, from Jamie Lee Curtis's character, but it's hard to buy right off the bat, right? Especially if you watched Halloween and Halloween Kills and then watched this one like immediately afterwards, you're gonna get whiplash based on what happens to Laurie's character, and I wasn't convinced by it. And then as the film continues, her character arc is to basically go back to being that person that she was. So my question to that is, why not just have her be that person the whole time and just change her character arc to something else, right? Like, she didn't need to be this person in the first act for the last act to be the way that it was. There was nothing there that was important, you know? So, yeah. Hopefully that was vague enough where I didn't touch on any key plot points. Oh, and also they did some weird character stuff with the granddaughter, Ashley or Ashlyn, I think her name was. And yeah, oh god, that whole thing. Oh, I just remembered it. So they also bring in a new character who becomes the boyfriend of Laurie Strode's granddaughter, and their relationship is so stupid. It's the worst. It's the worst thing. They have a couple of meet cutes, and within 2 days, they're basically like, I love you so much, we got to get out of this town. Let's go together. And like when I was talking earlier about the Hawkins Laurie Strode really awkward conversations, like those two have a couple of awkward conversations as well. What's his name? Caleb? Is it Caleb? Halloween Ends. Like honestly, it kind of feels like in some sections of the film that the people who were writing the film were like 11-year-old boys who had never really talked to a woman before, and so this was like, and they were fantasizing about the best case scenario about what it would be like to talk to a girl. That's kind of how some of these conversations played out. Let's see. Yeah, Allison was who I'm thinking of, and Corey. I knew it was a C name. So Corey and Allison's relationship, it's like super fast, really unbelievable, and yeah, it's not a fan of how that was presented either. So yes, if you're just joining, those are kind of like my overall thoughts on Halloween Ends, a little bit more in depth in the review that I gave, but my god, just not a movie that I enjoyed. You know, even if you get past the kind of thematic differences that the film, or excuse me, the themes that the film is trying to explore, even if you were like on board with those and you think it's an interesting way for them to go about making the film, the actual execution of the film is still not good. There are still just so many cringe-worthy scenes. And yeah, for me as someone who like really likes Halloween and who recently watched all of the Halloween films, this one felt the least like a Halloween film. And I'm even including that with like Curse of Michael Myers and Halloween Resurrection, right? Like those films were bad and stupid and ridiculous, but Michael Myers was Michael Myers, and Michael Myers fucking killed people, you know? And he didn't do a lot of that in Halloween Ends. So yeah. I'm gonna head back over to the chat, but if you guys have any questions about what I've said, please throw them in. Halloween Ends has an interesting setup critiquing cancel culture a bit, but I think it would have worked better as a movie separate from the series. Likely, yeah. I kind of agree with that. I don't even know if it's an interesting take on cancel culture, because I think it has more to do with the trauma that's going on. Like, I don't know. Because, like, what the person who gets canceled does, like, that's a lot different than what people typically consider, like, cancel culture, right? Like, actually, no, I guess in some circumstances it's kind of near the same level when we talk about, like, people being canceled because of their, because of sexual assault and things like that. So, I guess, yeah, I don't know. I guess the film is trying to be lenient towards people who have been quote-unquote canceled, you know? But in that way, I think it's also taking a somewhat unnuanced approach to what it's like to be canceled in the modern age. Like, the people who get, like, canceled that we hear about, they are celebrities who are still doing totally fine and are mostly just saying that they've been canceled as a way of portraying themselves as a victim, right? Even though they are the ones who are doing the victimizing. Whereas the person who is canceled in Halloween Ends, that person commits a crime. You know, like, it may not be murder, but it's not far off. So I don't know if I buy it. Like, it may very well have been a critique on cancel culture. I don't think it was a good one, though. The opening scene reminded me of Todd Field's In the Bedroom a bit. Would love to see Todd Field make a horror movie. Have I seen a Todd Field film? I don't know if I have or not. Yeah, I thought Halloween 2018 was okay. Never seen Kills, but heard it was cringy. Yeah, Kills, I don't know. Kills is kind of okay. I don't know. I think I upgraded it to a C tier film in my tier list. No spoilers for the tier list, though. No other spoilers for the tier list. I watched The Royal Tenenbaums last night. It might be my favorite Wes Anderson film. I do like that movie, although I prefer The Life Aquatic, if I'm being honest. That was like my, not my first Wes Anderson movie, but the first Wes Anderson movie where I was like, oh, this is awesome. I really like this. I think Halloween Ends tried to focus on trauma, but that's not really what the franchise is about. It's a story where the bad guy wins and he cannot be stopped. It's a story of pervasive evil. So this is interesting. I think that there are instances in the Halloween franchise when focusing on trauma is actually interesting. Like, once again, in my tier list, I talk about Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, the sequel to Rob Zombie's Halloween. And one of the things that I like the most about Halloween 2 is how it looked at the trauma of the survivors. And, but, you know, there was just a lot of other stuff in that film that also really worked for me. Like, I may be in the minority here. I think a lot of people don't like Halloween 2 that much, but the Rob Zombie Halloween 2. But the way that Michael Myers is portrayed for a lot of it, the way how he's kind of like following around his dead mother's ghost type thing, it's more cerebral in that way, but it's also a very brutal film. It kind of looks like an episode of Friday Night Lights, but it's a new French extremity film. Like, it's wild. It's a wild movie. And I think that even though it is focusing on trauma, you still get Michael Myers just fucking killing people, right? And the inevitable showdown between Laurie and Michael. Like, it's still, in my mind, like a Halloween film in spirit. It doesn't portray anything about the Halloween franchise, where I feel like Halloween Ends does, because of how it treats Michael Myers as a character. Hello, Kat. Are you coming back here? Do you have opinions on Halloween Ends, a movie you have not seen, and you just heard me rant about it when I was filming the other day? No? No big opinions? Why doesn't Big Kitty have an opinion? Aw, why not? Come on. Come on. People want to see some Rocco. Get up here. I don't have any treats, but you should still jump up on my lap. Do it. Do it. Do it. I love the 1978 Halloween. I like Halloween 2. I love the 2018 one. I defend Kills, but Ends was a total disappointment. Oh, look who we got! It's the big cat. He has returned. The big majestic boy is here, and he wants your praise. Praise the kitten. Praise him. He's not really a kitten. He's like almost 9 years old. But still, praise him. Praise the tummy. Let's see. Michael being at the top of his powers in Kills to suddenly being weak cave troll ran completely false. Josephine, I completely agree with that. I think that something that is implied in Halloween Ends is that like Michael is weak because Laurie has changed. And I think that's kind of alluded to at the end of Halloween Kills, where Laurie is like Michael and I are connected or something like that. Like, you know, he just becomes more evil and stuff like that. So because Laurie sort of changes a little bit, that also affects Michael's power level, which is stupid. It's just stupid. You know, like that's dumb. It's dumb. You know, one of the worst things about the Halloween franchise is when they started getting into supernatural stupid stuff in Halloween 4, 5, and 6, right? So like, don't do that. Don't even touch that. You don't need to. It's unnecessary. But they do, and I think it's a problem. I think it's an issue for the film. Favorite? Oh yeah, I already answered that. Worst movie you ever seen in theaters? Oh my god, so many. I mean, Rise of Skywalker comes to mind. That was an absolute shit show. My fave has always been, speaking of Wes Anderson, my fave has always been Fantastic Mr. Fox, and I'm not sure which one I like more. Gonna give Fantastic Mr. Fox a rewatch tonight. Right on. Rushmore is Dory's favorite Wes Anderson film. Everyone put your favorite Wes Anderson film in the chat. Worst movie ever seen in theaters is Mortal Engines. I've never seen Mortal Engines, so I can't say anything bad about it. The worst I saw in theaters was Alice Through the Looking Glass or Home. I don't know if I saw Alice Through the Looking Glass in theaters. I know I saw the first Alice in Wonderland. But yeah, I don't think I saw Through the Looking Glass in theaters. What's up, Panda? Good to see you. Do you think that they could have consolidated Halloween Kills and Ends into one film? Initially, it was only supposed to be 2 films, but then the writers, they thought that they had enough material for 3 films, which I think if you look at the timeline is actually just like, hey, the 2018 film did well. Let's make this a trilogy instead of 2 films, and we'll make more money. And that might have been a directive from the production studio, the production house. But I'm just speculating when I say that. But I think they probably could have, and I think that might have actually been the original plan. And I think maybe if they had done that, perhaps more of what happens in Halloween Kills happens in the original Halloween, although maybe not. So don't quote me on that. Rocco's so cute. Hey, look at that. They like you. I finally found screenings for Triangle of Sadness and Banshees. One is 20 minutes away. The other is like an hour. Well, I mean, go see the one that's 20 minutes away for sure. I remember when I was growing up, like the really good theaters, and when I say good theaters, I mean the only theaters. One was half an hour away, and the other one was 40 to 45 minutes away. So yeah, sometimes going to the theaters was tough. Was a bit of a drive. Alice Through the Looking Glass was awful. I don't really remember that movie, if I've even seen it. It's a typical choice, but Grand Budapest Hotel. It's one of his best films. I think that is his best film. It's just not my favorite of his films. Does Wes Anderson have any Chris Evans movie? I don't believe he's ever cameoed in a Wes Anderson film, no. And Home is just the stupid purple alien voiced by Sheldon Cooper, so boring and forgettable. Oh. Man, I don't even know what that movie is. I don't know if I've even ever been aware of it. Judi Dench would be acceptable too. I don't think Judi Dench has been in a Wes Anderson film, although she'd be a good fit. I think she would do really well in a Wes Anderson film. I saw Resident Evil: The Final Chapter in theaters. Never have I felt so robbed of time and money in my life. I left with the biggest headache. Wait, isn't that like the 7th Resident Evil film? Didn't you kind of know what you were getting into when you went to see the 7th Resident Evil film? I feel like you knew. Or was it just objectively like worse than all of the other Resident Evil films? Because that in and of itself is like pretty incredible. Oh, he's going to explain. Nice. All right. As you do that, I'm going to head over here to an interesting story that I saw. Since I was talking about Halloween 2, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, I found this. This came up today, and I thought this was kind of interesting. This is not meant to be like a Jamie Lee Curtis hit piece or anything like that. But this was kind of like an interesting thing that popped up. So Halloween stars Danielle Harris and Scout Taylor Compton, they are stars of Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2, share their terrible experience at the Halloween Ends premiere. I was mortified. So apparently, and you guys can go read through this if you want to, or listen to it if you want. It looks like they have their own podcast called Talk Scary to Me, which I may actually end up checking out. But it seems like they had never been invited to any of the Halloween premieres for Halloween Kills in the past, but they were invited to the premiere of Halloween Ends. I guess it was meant to be more of a celebration than some of the other films. So they also had other people invited from other horror franchises as well. I think Heather Langkap, is that her name? Someone from Nightmare on Elm Street was there. Heather Langenkamp, yes. So they basically said that Danielle, I believe, went up to Jamie Lee Curtis first, and they were hoping to get like a photo with Jamie Lee Curtis and be like, hey, we're like, you know, in the same franchise, but we're different people type stuff. That's so cool. Let's get a picture together or whatever. And it didn't go to plan, basically. So Danielle, let's see if I can find up here. Yeah, both share their apprehension. While they both had rather mixed feelings about the film, Taylor Compton notably snores while discussing the ending. What was more difficult for the actors was what happened after the screening. They wanted to use the moment to finally meet Curtis and get a photo with their fellow Halloween femme. Harris explains how when they finally approached Jamie Lee Curtis, Harris introduced herself as the woman who played Laurie's daughter in the 4th Halloween movie. That's right. Danielle Harris also played Jamie Lloyd, who was Laurie Strode's daughter in Halloween's 4 and 5 and 6, but that was a different actress in Halloween 6. Then Harris said, what is it? According to Harris, Curtis promptly said, I've never seen those films. I don't know who you are, despite Harris previously being told that Curtis loved Harris. Then Harris said it was like she was a deer caught in the headlights. She waited for Curtis to say, just kidding, but it never came. Meanwhile, Taylor Compton had no idea what happened with Harris due to the noise of the party. They were both cognizant that Curtis was exhausted and everyone wanted a photo with her. So Taylor Compton tried to be strategic in her introduction and share how honored she was that she could both play Laurie Strode. While Taylor Compton didn't share the specifics of her own interaction with Curtis, she did start to cry. She did say that it was a very similar experience to Harris. At the end of the recording, Taylor Compton says, we just left the party feeling very, very hurt, with Harris adding, I just feel dumb. While both actors expected a joyful and memorable night where they could meet the entire and reunite with the Halloween cast, they were, in their own words, shocked and hurt. They do, however, acknowledge Curtis was busy, that she may have just been having a bad day, and no matter what, she is the face of the franchise and deserves fan love, but they also wanted to share their honest experience about something they've been looking forward to for much of their careers. So, yes, I thought that was kind of, I just thought that was kind of fascinating, kind of interesting, because I think Jamie Lee Curtis has been on the record as saying, like, she's not a fan of horror movies, and she has not seen any of the other Halloween movies that she was not involved with. So she has like no, she doesn't know what's up with those films, what's going on in those films. But yeah, I would have hoped that like her reaction, I would have hoped that her reaction would have been a little bit more courteous, let's say, but I guess not. So let's go back to the chat, see what people are saying. I want to see Jairus' explanation here about Resident Evil. Here's how it went down. I grew up with the Resident Evil films, used to love them as a kid. Of course, I got older and my standards got higher. I wasn't going to watch it because I heard it was terrible, but the promotional material promised its answers, and I figured I should at least finish it off to see where it concluded. I was lied to, of course. The movie had like 30 plot holes in it. That's a lot of plot holes. That's not good. But you know what? That's what advertising is. It's just lies. It's just lying to you. You have to remember horror movies are very low cost, produce usually 5 to 10 million, and they can have like a 100+ million potential if it hits right. They can be done that way, certainly, but I think even the Conjuring movies have gone up in costs to make, right? Like how much did the Conjuring 3 cost to make? And I know this is the exception. Okay, yeah, so that film had a budget of $39 million. Still pretty low. I would have had a larger advertising budget, I'm sure, because it was released wide. But, yeah, it is true. Horror movies do cost less to make. and they have to, yeah, and their path to earning money is a lot simpler, a lot less steep. The Grand Budapest Hotel is his most stylized film, but I'd say his best made is Fantastic Mr. Fox or Isle of Dogs. Stop motion is so difficult. It is. That's why I really want to see the new Pinocchio movie from Del Toro. I think it might actually be able to take Best Animated Film this year since Lightyear bombed so hard. Going to see Old Boy and The Handmaiden before seeing Decision to Leave. Nice. Good idea. By the way, what's with the video title? So we started off the live stream talking about Black Adam and just all of the bad press that it's getting right now, looking at some of the headlines and talking about the film a little bit. So that's the reason for the video title. I wasn't ready for Old Boy. The hype is real. Yeah. Old Boy gets you. Because no one actually wants to talk about what the twist is, you know? And even if you know that there's a twist coming, you don't expect it because it's the only time outside of like maybe one film where that kind of twist has been done. So like you're just not prepared for it, you're not expecting it, and then it happens and you're like, fuck. And then the aftermath of the twist happens and you're like, fuck. And then you just kind of feel dirty afterwards, you know? Can we watch Jamie Lee Curtis shower scene? Nope. We don't watch videos on here anymore. Park Chan-wook made a cool movie called Joint Security Area. I love it. Yeah, so when I was more focused on doing the tier lists, I was going to do a Park Chan-wook one as well as a Lee Chang-dong one to go along with the Bong Joon-ho tier list. But the tier lists haven't been performing that well. The Bong Joon-ho and Ruben Östlund one especially just did not do anything, which kind of bummed me out. The Halloween one did, but it's also sort of died. You know, I think it died yesterday. When I say died, I mean like it's no longer being pushed. I am going to be trying a few different. Oh, Rocco, you're so warm. I'm going to be trying a few different thumbnails, so you may see them popping up. I might be experimenting with like basically just ripping off Karsten Rehnquist's thumbnail style to see if there's any kind of boost there. So don't tell him. But yeah, I'm kind of shying away now from doing the tier list because it's a lot of time and effort, and the payoff is not guaranteed. And I feel like if I do more reviews, those are a bit less of a time sink, and I can put out multiple of those a week. So there's a higher chance of hitting. So that you may be seeing more reviews coming to the channel. But initially, yeah, I was going to watch Joint Security Area as part of that Park Chan-wook tier list, but that may no longer be happening. Just sad. Jamie Lee Curtis is a One Piece fan. Really? Like the anime or the manga? Or both? So that is a huge W. I'm dying to see Wendell and Wild this weekend. That got somewhat good reviews coming out of TIFF, right? I know it was at TIFF. I think it's supposed to be okay. I'm currently seeing my first Kurosawa film, Seven Samurai. You're watching it right now? While you're watching me? Why are you watching Seven Samurai and me at the same time? You better not be. You better be respecting the hell out of that film. At this point, The Sea Beast is the best animated film of the year, but the Oscar will probably go to Pinocchio or Wendell in the Wild. I mean, any non-Disney film would be great. I know that Sea Beast is not Disney, it's Netflix, but yeah, anything non-Disney would be wonderful. And I hope those are better than Sea Beast and what Pixar has put out this year. I mean, that would be nice. We love good films over here, you know? Speaking of the Oscars, man, these are just rolling in. The hits keep rolling. And also, speaking of Jamie Lee Curtis, my God, how did I set these up so well? Jamie Lee Curtis is now about to break into the Oscar top 5, which could happen any day at this rate. So this is coming from Gold Derby. These are the people who watch for the Oscars, basically. They make predictions. They have large pools of people who make predictions on these things. And I guess Jamie Lee Curtis is about to break into the top 5. And initially when I read this headline, I was like, for what? Halloween ends? And then I remembered that they're probably talking about Everything Everywhere All at Once. So let's see what this has to say. Jamie Lee Curtis' run with Halloween franchise may be over, but her Oscar run is just beginning. Days after cracking the top 10 in the Best Supporting Actress Oscar odds, the Everything Everywhere All at Once star has climbed up to 6th place. The actress has jumped ahead of 3 people who have been in the top 5 already. Jean Smart for Babylon, Vanessa Kirby for The Sun, that won't happen. And Sadie Sink for The Whale, might happen. The top 5, Jessie Buckley and Claire Foy for Women Talking, definitely will happen. Carrie Condon for Banshees of Inisherin, don't know about that one yet. Curtis's co-star Stephanie Hsu and Hong Chia for The Whale remain the same. Interesting. Oh, Stephanie Hsu from Everything Everywhere All at Once. That one I would be surprised. Oh, wait, what? No. I don't want to. No. Oh my God, did I just open up my own stream? Weird. Hong Chow for The Whale would be a good one as well. I think maybe I like her better than Sadie Sink, although Sadie Sink was a bit more present in that film. There's still a bit of a distance between them. Chow, is it Chow or Cho? Chow has 13-1 odds, and Curtis has 21 odds, but the latter is closing the gap quickly. Just as Curtis's top 10 breakthrough coincided with her campaign declaration on the Graham Norton show a few weeks ago, her recent ascent has overlapped with her stateside press, in which she reiterated the same sentiment during her press tour the past week for Halloween Ends, which opened at #1 this weekend. Curtis voiced her excitement about having Oscar buzz for her return as IRS Inspector Deirdre Deirdre, I didn't know that was her last name, in various interviews, including on Jimmy Kimmel and The Late Show with James Corden, and why she's not shy about going all in to secure her first Oscar nomination after more than 40 years in the business. She has never been nominated for an Oscar. That's interesting. I thought she would have had at least one somewhere along the way. I can't imagine for what, though. Maybe she's kind of suffered because she's never really been in supporting roles that much. And her lead performances were just never up to snuff. That could be part of it. You want to bring it? Let's bring it. I'm gonna go for everything all at once because it's sort of what I do. I've got my weapon of mass promotion. I'm gonna go get everything I can, she told James Corden. However, I'm also married to Christopher Guest, who made a film called For Your Consideration, which is about the Oscar hunt and what happens to people when someone goes, you're gonna get an Oscar nomination, and then what happens in your mind. I didn't know she was married to Christopher Guest. You didn't miss much, Eli. We're just sort of chatting about Jamie Lee Curtis right now. I love One Piece. My mom and I watch it together. Yo, what is up with people watching and loving One Piece? Is that just something that I missed out on because, I don't know, I'm not the right generation for it? So yeah, in any case, it sounds like Jamie Lee Curtis is going for the Oscar. She's going all in. The campaign is certainly important, and if you campaign hard, it increases your chances. So the fact that she said that she is going to go super hard is probably a good thing for her. I guess we'll have to wait to see. We're gonna have to wait to see if it actually happens. Maybe the Michelle Yeoh boat will, or the Michelle Yeoh tide will rise all ships. Raise all ships? You know what I'm talking about. All right, can Cinemateq watch One Piece Red film? Probably not. I'm very positive on Turning Red, but watching Lightyear not on the big screen was so boring. Oh, Turning Red might actually have a shot. It came out a fucking year ago, though. Like, I know it came out in, like, February or something, but it feels like it came out, like, 1,000 years ago. And I hope... I watched the first half and we'll finish tomorrow. Oh, of Seven Samurai? Yeah. It is kind of a film that you can do in 2 parts. That's how it's presented initially. Like, I had the... not the original, but like the re-release DVD for the Criterion Collection of Seven Samurai, and it's in 2 parts. So yeah, it's one that I can believe being in 2 parts for sure. I literally asked 20 minutes ago if JLC can win Best Supporting Actress noms for Everything Everywhere. It sounds like, based on the field that they're talking about here, like she has a shot. I have, like, no one has seen Babylon yet, so who knows about Jean Smart. I've seen The Sun, and I think that movie is going to get killed by the critics, so I wouldn't count on Vanessa Kirby getting in. Sadie Sink and Hong Cho for The Whale. Maybe they cancel each other out. I don't know. Sadie Sink was good in The Whale. I don't know if she's Oscar nomination good. Carrie Condon, I don't know about her either. So many of these films I haven't actually seen, so it's hard to say. But depending on how the race goes, and maybe Everything Everywhere turns out to be like a darling type film. It's still in theaters, by the way. I can still go see that film in a theater. I just today was checking the Korean box office for research purposes, and Everything Everywhere All at Once is still in the top 10 box office in Korea. The film just won't die. It's incredible, and that might be something that actually plays to its favor. One Piece is my favorite franchise. All right, that's cool. What do you see here? The Academy literally just posted a whole JLC post on their Instagram post. I'm just realizing now that her initials are the same as the John Labatt Center in London, Ontario, which is where I went to like concerts when I lived in London for 5 years. So whenever I see like JLC as an acronym, I think immediately of an arena. I also don't feel like Jessie Buckley deserves a nomination. She just seems like a critic's darling. Have you seen Women Talking, Don? Have you had the opportunity to see it? Because she's good in that. She's quite good. And seeing Spirited Away on the big screen is the best cinematic experience I've ever had. So beautiful. The animation was gorgeous, and the sound design on the surround sound was so good. Yeah, I can imagine that being pretty sick. Was it dubbed or subbed? I imagine you went to see it in a Cineplex, right? Because they're doing their whole classic movie thing. They had a Poltergeist on recently in a theater near me. So I imagine it was dubbed, but let me know one way or the other. I've said it once and I'll say it again. I don't get the hype around the Sea Beast. I thought it was just an average, formulaic, non-immersive animated kids film. Fair point. I haven't seen it, so I can't speak to that. Did you see Banshees? I forget. I haven't seen it yet, but Carrie Condon from Better Call Saul is in it. Oh, she's from Better Call Saul as well. So no, I did not see Banshees at TIFF. I missed out on that. Press screening. I think I might have gone to see The Sun instead, and that just feels like a big mistake on my part. But no, I haven't seen Banshees yet, but I will soon. It's coming out in the somewhat near future, I believe. A JLC campaign nom helps Michelle Yeoh for Best Actress. I mean, it helps keep the film in the conversation, but I don't think there's any real tracking or data that indicates like a nomination in supporting helping the winning chances of a lead role. I may be wrong on that, but I haven't seen anything like that. Haven't seen Triangle of Sadness yet. No spoilers, please. But would you want Dolly de Leon nominated? If anyone in Triangle of Sadness gets an Oscar nomination, it's Charlby Dean. She's very good, and like she also passed away tragically. So I think that would be a better one. Like to me, she is the acting standout of the film, regardless of whether or not she passed away, right? So yeah, Charlby Dean is incredible in that film. Please go see Triangle of Sadness if you have the opportunity. One of my favorites of the year still. I have a conspiracy theory of why Gene Smart has a 100% chance to miss the nomination. Well, go on, Don. Tell me about it. What's a Best Picture winner that makes you mad? Mine is The King's Speech. There are many. Green Book is probably the most egregious. If La La Land had actually won, then it might have also been La La Land, but it didn't. It didn't win, so everything's fine. I rented Away From Her, Sarah Polley's first film. I'm looking forward to watching it. Sarah Polley's just good. I don't know if I've seen Away From Her, but I have seen one of her other films, and I have seen Women Talking, and like, she does good stuff. One of Canada's better directors. Margot Robbie did Amsterdam with Christian Bale, and that kind of flopped. So she should campaign that film for Best Actress. That means that she is free to campaign Babylon for Best Supporting Actress. I don't even know if Amsterdam is going to get campaigned that hard overall. I have a feeling, like I'm sure there will be a campaign for it, but I think people are largely going to ignore it and they're not going to be that into it. So I have a feeling that Margot Robbie will campaign for Babylon for Best Supporting Actress anyways. Like that would be her main focus, especially because I think people are getting a little bit more behind the idea of David O. Russell being a piece of shit, and they don't want to support Amsterdam because of that, right? Let's see here. Spirited Away was at a Cineplex and it was dubbed, but I love both sub and dub equally. Right on. Best Picture winner that makes me mad, Hurt Locker beating Dark Knight. I actually think that Hurt Locker is a better film than Dark Knight. It's certainly a better Oscar film. There are some plot holes and some weirdness in The Dark Knight that still bother me to this day. But I think Hurt Locker is just really good. Like, Hurt Locker is really good. And, like, Catherine Bigelow did great work with that film. So I'm not mad about Hurt Locker winning. Part of me wants to make a trip to the theater this weekend and watch everything except Amsterdam. Fuck that movie. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking about doing that tomorrow. Since I'm not going to be putting out the Exorcist tier list, and I'm going to be away on Friday. I'm not really doing any work tomorrow, so I'm thinking I'm just going to go to the theater and watch stuff. And unfortunately, there's nothing really at TIFF right now that I want to see. They did it. Oh my God. I'm going to rant a little bit about TIFF for a second. I'm sure this is up to the distributor, but like TIFF had All Quiet on the Western Front for like 4 days. I think they had it from like Friday to Tuesday, but they're closed on Mondays, so it's technically only for 4 days. Like 1 to 2 screenings per day. And on the Tuesday, they only had 1 screening, and they put it in their smallest theater. So it was just sold out, and I couldn't go see it, and I was super pissed because now I have to wait for it to come out to Netflix, and that is just really annoying. And like you would have thought that like a film that had a limited release or a limited window, they would have put it in like at least a slightly larger theater. Like Theater 5 at TIFF can hold 25 people, 30 people at the most, and every other theater beyond that can hold people in the hundreds. So like why not just put it in Theater 4, which can hold like 200 to 300 people? Why not just do that? Please. And like I'm also mad because Theater 5 is my favorite theater because it is small but the seats are better. So yeah. Also playing at TIFF right now, not a lot of great stuff. The Good Nurse is playing right now, and I heard that's kind of bad. Triangle of Sadness, I've already seen it. Falcon Lake, I already did go see, and I really like that film. One of my favorite Canadian films of the year. Please go check it out if you have the opportunity. It is a coming-of-age story. It is a little bit of a gothic story. It takes place in cottage country in Quebec. It looks real good. A lot of great performances in it. It's good shit. It's good shit. I don't know if it's better than Rice Boy Sleeps for this year or Viking, but actually it's weird. I don't know if it's better than Rice Boy Sleeps, but I think it is better than Viking. But I had Viking higher than Rice Boy Sleeps in my TIFF ranking, so yeah, I don't know. Anyways, Falcon Lake, good stuff. Good stuff. Here, maybe I'll just show you guys, just so you get an idea. I'm not going to obviously like play a trailer or anything, but this is just kind of what it looks like. In case you want to keep your eyes out for it. So good. So good. It's a bit of a slow-moving film. Like I said, it's a coming-of-age story. Here's our main character. Here's our other main character. I don't know if they're cousins or not in this. I don't think so. But some of the cinematography in this film just looks real good. It has that kind of like washed out film grainy effect to it. So sometimes the focus is not like super great. Like you can kind of see here, it's a little bit washed out. It's a little bit fuzzy, but like it's kind of on purpose, and it adds to the atmosphere of the film because it does have some gothic elements to it, which I just love. So please check this out if you have the opportunity. It's quite nice. Go back to this. Crash should not have won. Should have gone to Eternal Sunshine. Oh yeah, Crash is not good. Cronenberg's Crash definitely should have won Best Picture, even though it was never nominated and was never going to be. Slumdog Millionaire actually beat The Dark Knight. Hurt Locker beat Avatar, and Inglourious Bastards. Ooh, I think I would have taken Inglourious Bastards over Hurt Locker personally. Although I do like that Hurt Locker beat Avatar. If only for the Catherine Bigelow beating her ex at the Oscars narrative. That was kind of fun. In December, I'm going to go cancel Disney Plus and switch it for either Criterion or Mubi. Which one should I choose? I mean, I guess that's kind of down to what you value more. I think the Criterion channel is a better one for like the classics. Obviously, a lot of stuff from the Criterion collection is going to be on there, but then also a lot of their like programming and stuff goes for like classic Hollywood films from the 40s and 50s. And occasionally they do like other weird stuff. They also focus a little bit more on, I think, American cinema than anything else. But yeah. Oh, and if you want to sign up for 30 days free of Cinemateq, just go to movie.com/Cinemateq. Thanks for reminding me, Dory, that I actually have a channel sponsor. So yeah, it's whereas Mubi I think is really good for a little bit for like they're better at highlighting more obscure films, but overall I think the quality of their offerings is like not quite on the same level as Criterion, but it also just depends on what you're looking for. And I also love like Mubi's approach, and I think actually the quality of their streams are a bit higher than the Criterion collection. So they're both great. I love them both. So start off with 30 days free, movie.com/Cinemateq, and check out Movie for that. And then also check out Criterion Collection or the Criterion Channel, because I think if you have them both, they fill in, they complement each other really well. Man, anti-hero movies are getting so old. It's very true. Oh, so we got a new person joining in, I think. Drak? I hope I'm saying that right. Welcome to the live stream. Dark Knight is iconoclastic, hero belittling, villain exalting, so exactly the same as Michael Keaton and Adam West. Different styles, same poison. Interesting. Hero belittling, villain exalting. Hero belittling. You think The Dark Knight is hero belittling? I don't know if I would go that far. Especially when Batman has his, destroy the surveillance technology that I created moment. Like, he comes off as the hero. I don't know if I would say it's hero belittling. It's an interesting take, though, for sure. Black Adam is a villain, so the movie version Black Adam could be morally ambiguous with no hero and no villain and blurred meaning. We'll see. Yeah, from the sounds of it, I mean, everything I have seen about the film, and I have not seen the film to be clear, but they're talking about Black Adam as like a hero or as an anti-hero, as I think Preston was just pointing out, and that it's kind of a tired trope. But they did specifically say that there is like a villain in the film that Black Adam fights against. I have no idea who the villain is. So I think really they're trying to set up Black Adam not as a villain, but as an anti-hero, which... oh, sorry, it was Eli who said that about anti-hero movies. Yeah. Yeah, but it seems like the critics have pretty much turned on it. Is it getting... Wait, was it Rotten Tomatoes score lower than what we ended up getting for Thor? Daily reminder that I hate Rotten Tomatoes. So Thor Love and Thunder got a 64 on Rotten Tomatoes. Although that's on 427 reviews, whereas Black Adam is 54 on 70 reviews, so there's still some voices left to be heard. Let's be honest, Jai-Ho is iconic. Jai-Ho. A lot of people didn't like women talking cinematography. Were you bothered by it? I wasn't bothered by it. I think a lot of people just probably thought it was too dark or too desaturated. The actual framing itself was good, So yeah, I wasn't bothered by it at all. I don't think it's going to get nominated, but I don't think it distracted from the film. Heard of the new Stephen King movie? I heard that there was one, but I don't know which one it is. Like, I don't know what it's based off of. New Stephen King movie. It's on Netflix, right? Is it Mr. Harrigan's Phone? Is that the new one? Came out in 2022 on Netflix. Yeah, I guess it's that one. Yeah, I know nothing about it. Is it good? Have people had positive things to say about it? Mr. Harrigan's Phone. It's got Donald Sutherland in it. That's not bad. Ooh, 45% Rotten Tomatoes and a 52% audience score. That ain't great. Despite a pair of layered performances from its talented leads, Mr. Harrigan's Phone never quite connects with the source material's intriguing themes. Well, it's an adaptation, so should it? Does it have to? If it's presenting other themes in place of those themes, then no, it probably doesn't. Let's see. The internet at my place is so atrocious I can barely watch your stream, and I'm the only one affected by it in my house for some reason. I'm going to step out for a bit. All good, Preston. Hope to see you back a little bit later. Mubi is the greatest place for festival movies. That's true. Mubi does a great job about that. They often have sections dedicated to certain film festivals like Locarno and TIFF and Cannes. They've done, I believe, sections for like Cannes 1968 or 1967, which is an important year for the festival. So yeah, they do also have classic films on Mubi. They just don't do it in the same kind of like big blocks of programming like Criterion Channel does. But still, both channels complement each other quite well. I will say that I watch the Criterion Channel more than Mubi, but I also just love sort of like going on Mubi and just checking out what random stuff they're coming out with. Mubi brings bags of money to Cannes. Yeah, I mean, they picked up Decision to Leave. I guess that's the other thing too, is that Mubi has been doing a lot better when it comes to getting the streaming rights for movies. Like, they got Worst Person in the World, they got Decision to Leave. I think there's a couple of other recent ones that they picked up. So they're starting to make a bigger play into getting newer films. More so than the Criterion Channel. Although Criterion Channel did get Drive My Car because Janus picked it up. Anyways, for me, The King's Speech beat not just 1 or 2 films, but Black Swan, your favorite film, Inception, The Social Network, and 127 Hours. Man, yeah, that's not a good year. Films that take risk and have innovative ideas to explore. Yeah, that's wild, eh? So the over-sexualization of Chris Hemsworth wasn't worth a 100% rating for the film. Not from the critics. Critics don't care about butts. You're talking about people who watch, like, you know, French art films and shit like that. Like I do. Like, when I watch movies, I see a lot of butt. I see a lot of butt movies, you know? A lot of overly sexualized stuff in movies. And, you know, when I see Chris Hemsworth butt in a movie, it doesn't bother me. Because I watch those dang French films. I was about to say and Falcon Beach, but it's also, or excuse me, and Falcon Lake, but it's also kind of a French movie. A French-Canadian movie, though. Black Adam is a villain, motivated by evil person, so not an anti-hero, but this movie will probably try to wrap him into an anti-hero. I mean, that's what I've been hearing, at least, based on the reviews. Like, there is a proper villain in it, which Black Adam will have to fight. So, yeah. You need Wi-Fi repeater or hotspot extender? Probably, yeah. Oh no, Robert Redford lost his chicken leg? What? Robert Redford, he Googles. Robert Redford joins the Dallas Embassy for a multimedia show. Hollywood star Robert Redford's son died from a cancerous tumor. Don, I do not know what you are referring to. Maybe I'll check my film news feed. Jodie Foster was the person least concerned with her Taxi Driver casting. Interesting. I won't even bother with Black Adam. Doesn't seem like my kind of film. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna end up seeing it. I'm just really tired of superhero movies, and like Black Adam can't even bring me in with, like, you know, continuing what happens in the DCEU, because I don't care about the DCEU that much anyways. I still probably will I'll still end up going to see like Marvel films, because it will be kind of nice just to see like what they're doing with that cinematic universe. But like without that, I really just don't care. And even then, I barely care about what the MCU is doing. The MCU is like one truly horrendous film away from me just like walking away completely. I'm not seeing anything about Robert Redford's leg. Don, I'm going to need a source on this, because I'm not seeing it. Unless it's a Twitter thing. Yeah, not seeing anything. Sorry, you were 40 seconds behind. No, it's fine. I'm not seeing anything about Robert Redford losing his leg. Unless this is something that like happened a while ago and you're just now discovering it and sharing it with us. If that's the case, then okay. But I'm out here looking for news, and I don't think there's any news about it. I'm watching Heaven's Gate in theaters tomorrow. Oh, Dory, nice. I'm a little bit jealous. Let me just look up Heaven's Gate on here to make sure I'm thinking of the right film. Yeah, I think so. Wait, is that the one that was directed by the guy Isabelle Huppert is in it? Really? Brad Dourif is in it? Oh, sick. I'm a 100% stan of that guy. Yeah, okay, so Heaven's Gate is like considered one of the most notorious flops of all time, but now a lot of people like look back on it and say, oh, that was maybe one of the best westerns of like the 1980s, and maybe one of the best westerns of all time. So yeah, I'm jealous. My favorite quote about Heaven's Gate actually is like, what was it? After half a day of shooting, we were 3 days behind schedule. I always love that. I always love that. I can't remember who said that. It was like a producer or director, probably a producer or like a screenwriter or something like that. But that film like faced such horrendous cost overruns, and like they were just wasting money, almost wasting money on it. Like I think there was one story about how they built an entire town to shoot in, and then the director showed up and didn't like something about the town, so they tore down the whole thing and rebuilt it, which obviously causes delays and the cost of, you know, having to build something twice. You never put that in your budget. So yeah, it was wild. And yeah, I think Dory, you're saying it's a 4-hour film. The runtime I see here is 219 minutes, which is what? That's 3 hours and 3 hours and 39 minutes long, right? But there's also alternate versions of the film. The work print cut, 325 minutes. Man, the fact that they only cut it down by like 100 minutes from the work print to the premiere is like really wild. Usually work prints are like double the length of the film, maybe. Director's second edit, 149 minutes. Wide release in cinemas in April 1981. So, wait. The initial premiere of the film was 219 minutes. Cinema release, November 1980, aborted after 1 week. Wow. And then it was shown on Z Channel Cable 1982 as the director's cut, released on VHS and Laserdisc by MGN as the legendary uncut version, later released in DVD in 2000. What? Then I guess there's a radical cut at 219 minutes, a 2005 special screening in Paris and New York, reassembled by MGN with available high-quality footage using alternate footage when required. Digitally restored director's cut, 216 minutes, and that was shown in 2012 at the Venice International Film Festival. So I imagine that's what you're seeing, Dory, right? Is the digitally restored director's cut, which will be 216 minutes? Man. Wild. So it actually premiered at Cannes. I didn't know that. Nominated for 1 Oscar. Nominated for a whole bunch of Golden Raspberries. So that's not good. Give us your 10 picks for this year's Best Picture category so far. All right, let me just head over to Letterboxd, and I need to actually look at the films that I have seen that are from this year. Decade. If I don't have a list right in front of me, I cannot recall. 2022. So what do I think will be in the Best Picture category? 10. And actually, let me just do myself a favor here by sorting by average rating highest first. So I do think Everything Everywhere All at Once will make it in, and I do think Fabelmans will make it in, and I do think Top Gun will make it in. I think Glass Onion will make it in. I think that... Ooh. I'm just basing this on what I've seen so far. I think that Nope makes it in. I think that The Whale makes it in. I think that Women Talking makes it in. I think that The Wonder makes it in. Ooh, what else? I think The Batman makes it in then, if it's just stuff that I've seen. And I think How to Blow Up a Pipeline makes it in. Now, obviously I'm not including films that I haven't seen, because I don't know how they're going to rank. And I also forget about the films all the time that are not coming out soon. But I think the ones out of the 10 that I just listed, the ones that will actually make it and actually be nominated for Best Picture will be Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Top Gun Maverick, and The Glass Onion. I think those 4 will definitely make it. For a film like Women Talking and The Whale, it really depends on a lot of the other nominations. The Whale is honestly a film that might only get in for Brendan Fraser. So there's nothing to say that should be going into the Best Picture. Nope, on the other hand, You could be looking at a Best Cinematography Award. You could be looking at a Best Director nomination. You could be looking at maybe a Best Lead Actor for Daniel Kaluuya. Like there are avenues that Nope makes it into Best Picture. For everything else, it's probably not gonna happen. So yeah, I think the ones that I've seen so far that are definitely gonna get in would be Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Top Gun Maverick, and Glass Onion. Those four. And then for the stuff that's going to be coming out, let me see if I can. I mean, Babylon, sure. But once again, we're just assuming that it's going to be good. We don't actually know if it's going to be good. What was I going to go? Box Office Mojo. Let's just look at the calendar for the rest of the year. For October, Banshees of Inisherin, I think, is probably going to be another one. After Sun, I don't think is going to do it. Tar might, but I've heard Tar is divisive, so I don't know. I guess it probably will because I heard Cate Blanchett's performance is so strong. We also have Armageddon Time, which might sneak in there. We'll put that as a maybe. Obviously, the re-release of Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, of course. Let's see. I already talked about Armageddon Time. Does Black Panther make it into the Best Picture? Does Black Panther get in there? It might. It might. Can't say no to it quite yet, can we? I've heard The Menu is good, so that may have an outside shot. Let's look at the rest of November. There's also an Evangelion film coming out, so maybe that. Women Talking might. I don't think The Eternal Daughter will. The Sun definitely won't. Fuck that movie. Bones and All has a shot, although I think the subject matter is a little bit too cannibal-y for people to really get behind for Best Picture, although maybe. The Northman faded so hard. I mean, yeah. Its box office performance basically killed it. And people stopped talking about it, and that was another thing that like has just killed it as well. Empire of Light, I don't think gets into Best Picture. I think it's, although it is an Oscar film. The older Oscar voters might still go for that. You also have Avatar: The Way of Water. We can't ignore the fact that Avatar like almost like decimated the Oscars like back in 2009. I've also heard that Living with Bill Nighy is quite good. And he is probably going to get a Best Lead Performance Oscar out of Living. So that could propel that film in there. Although, for Best Director, I don't know if it follows through with that. So yeah, out of all of those, what have I been saying? Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Top Gun Maverick, and Glass Onion for 4. And then probably, so that's 4. And then probably Women Talking. And then Babylon. I'm going to say Avatar, Empire of Light, Women Talking, and unless I see something other than something that I think, yeah, I would probably put Black Panther in before Armageddon Time. So yeah, you said Women Talking twice, did I? Did it? Well then, Armageddon Time with Black Panther then. The Northman's too cool for the Oscars. True. TJ, does Emancipation with Will Smith got a chance? When does that even come out? And like probably not. It's an Apple TV Plus movie, right? It's coming out December. I mean, I don't know. It's got a lot going for it. Like the director, Antoine Fuqua? Is that how you say his name? He's good. Cinematography, Robert Richardson. What has he done? Oh yeah, only the cinematographer for Wall Street and Platoon and Salvador and Talk Radio. He's worked with Oliver Stone quite a bit. JFK, The Doors. He's worked on some Quentin Tarantino films that you may have heard of. Yeah, so the guy has got the film has got some cinematography credentials for sure. It was done before the slap, but it's being released after the slap, and that's something that we have to consider. And we know that like Will Smith is basically banned from the Oscars, so he's not getting nominated. That's not to say that, say, Ben Foster can't get nominated. But I think also the fact that like Emancipation did not play any of the festivals, like any of the big festivals, I think that is what I think that's a big clue that it's not really going to be in contention. Maybe Apple is able to pull something out of their ass and maybe they're going to be able to push it, but I don't know. It's also being listed here on Wikipedia as being a historical action thriller, which might not be what the Academy is looking for. Oh, I guess The Woman King also might be a shot at Best Picture, right? Oh, God, it's hard to say. I always fixate on like the more dramatic films. I forget about some of the more crowd-pleasing films. I'm still crossing my fingers for no, but I mean, that would be super cool. My list will have After Sun, The Quiet Girl, and Triple R. Man, I mean, Triple R is going for a full... They're going all in, right? So, and I keep forgetting about Tar, yeah. Oh, yeah, we can't forget the random international film. That is now tradition at the Oscars, that we have a random international film. Although I don't know which film that would be. Decision to Leave, maybe. Because I've only seen people like raving about Decision to Leave so far. So that could be the one that does it. Still crossing my fingers for Nope. My dream movie to get nominated for Best Picture is 3,000 Years of Longing. Dory, that is not going to happen. Not going to happen, my friend. Not at all. I think top 5 VFX are Nope, Top Gun, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Doctor Strange, and Avatar. I could see Doctor Strange probably does get nominated, doesn't it? Yeah, you're probably right on this. I would love to see Everything Everywhere get nominated since they had such a small budget. I always love it when the small films get in, like when Ex Machina won. I thought that was super cool. The Northman's too cool for the... Yes. Women Talking Over Empire of Light. Oh, maybe. I also have to remember, though, like, The Woman King is already out, and I think is already starting to fade from people's minds, and Empire of Light is going to be released at the exact right time for an Oscar run. Plus, it's a movie that stars Olivia Colman, directed by Sam Mendes, shot by, the cinematographer King, who I totally remember the name of, and I don't need to look it up in order to find out what it is. Roger Deakins, who did like Blade Runner and all the other great looking films, 1917 as well. So like Empire of Light's going to have a lot of established Oscar pedigree going for it already. Viola Davis, of course, for Woman King is already in there, but I don't know if Woman King has any other like proven Oscar people involved. Like cinematographer Polly Morgan. Credits. Shot Venom in 2011. That's not the Venom that I'm thinking of. Yeah. Also, okay, so the cinematographer also shot Where the Crawdads Sing, which actually admittedly didn't look that bad. Quiet Place Part 2, Lucy in the Sky. Like, yeah. I hate to bring it down to pedigree, but I just don't think the pedigree is there. In comparison to Empire of Light specifically. And it's going to be a lot of those, like, around the middle, or excuse me, around like Best Picture that is going to determine whether or not the film gets into Best Picture, right? Like Top Gun probably gets in because it's a crowd pleaser, but it's also going to get nominated for Best Visual Effects, probably Best Sound Design, or Best Sound, excuse me, probably some of the other technical awards, maybe Best Editing, and then it'll get pushed into Best Picture for that because like it's one of the biggest films of the year, right? Or like the highest grossing film of the year. Whereas The Woman King doesn't really have that going for it, outside of maybe a nomination for Viola Davis. So yeah. All Quiet is international and Netflix has gotten at least 2 films in the category for the past 3 years. That could be it then. That could be it. Although international film can be a little bit tricky. Just because it's been put forward doesn't mean it's going to get nominated. We'll know more when it gets down to like the long list and then eventually the short list. But there hasn't been like a Drive My Car type film this year outside of like Broker or Decision to Leave in terms of like non-English language films. So if anything's going to happen on that front, I would assume it would be one of those two films. Although I guess All Quiet on the Western Front would be a potential one. Olivia Colman is not getting a Best Actress nomination. She's overhyped and not going to get 4 noms in 5 years. It's Olivia Colman, though. You can't count her out. Olivia Colman fans admit it's not her best performance, not like The Favorite. Yeah, but a lot of Olivia Colman fans haven't had the opportunity to see the film yet. You also have to remember that. It hasn't been released wide. We're talking about people who saw the film at a couple of screenings at TIFF and at one other festival. Best Costumes nom for Women King. Yeah, I would imagine it gets in that. Perhaps also Best Hair and Makeup. So maybe that's its path to Best Picture, although I don't know. What do you think wins editing? Everything Everywhere or Top Gun? I would prefer Everything. I think Everything Everywhere wins in that regard. Like what they do with editing in that film, I think, is far beyond what Top Gun does. Like Top Gun is a conventional film done well, whereas Everything Everywhere All at Once is a film that just fundamentally doesn't work unless you absolutely knock it out of the park in every single one of the key areas: cinematography, editing, acting, performance, all that stuff. So I think that editing is far more important to the story of Everything Everywhere than it is to Top Gun. So yeah, I would assume Everything Everywhere takes that. And we have seen in the past that best editing has gone to smaller films. Sound of Metal won recently. It also won Best Sound because of course it did. So editing is a category that could potentially go to not the big budget film. Maybe Best Production Movie. Best Production Design could also be a Women King one as well. People say Top Gun is the front runner to win Best Sound. Best Sound always wins with Best Editing. Always? I don't think that's true. It does sometimes go together. I can remember, I think the Bourne Ultimatum won both. I don't know. Like, I'm sure it's a somewhat good predictor, but I don't know if it's an always. Beast for Best Picture? Probably not. Although I do like that movie for sure. Best Editing Predicting. Best Sound winner Oscars. Alright, I should just probably put these up beside each other. Is this included all the way up to... No, it does not. It's also hard to tell because like they combine Best Editing together or Best Sound together when it used to be 2 categories. But I guess I can look at some of these. So I'm just gonna look at the list of like Best Sound Editing and compare it to Best Editing and see where they line up. Because I think for Ford versus Ferrari, like that more recent one, that one I think does line up actually. Let's see. So Ford versus Ferrari lines up. Bohemian Rhapsody lines up. Dunkirk lines up. In 2016, it was Arrival and Hacksaw Ridge. So those were different ones. 2015 lines up with Mad Max. In 2014, it was Whiplash and American Sniper. So those don't match. Gravity matches in 2013. I guess there was a double winner in 2012 for Best Sound Editing for Skyfall and Zero Dark 30. And Argo won in 2012. In 2011, it was Hugo and Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. In 2010, it was Inception and The Social Network. So it seems like it's a bit more of a predictor nowadays, but back then, it really hasn't been, or it was less so. Yeah. When you go back to 2009, like Hurt Locker wins both, but then in 2008, it's The Dark Knight and then Slumdog Millionaire. In 2007, Bourne Ultimatum wins both, but then in 2006, it's Letters from Iwo Jima and The Departed. 2005, it was King Kong versus Crash for editing. In 2004, it was The Incredibles versus The Aviator. In 2003, it was Master and Commander versus Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. In 2002, it was Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers versus Chicago for Best Editing. So it's not a for sure. It's not a for sure thing. But it seems like recently it has been a bit of a better predictor. So, yeah. Yeah. Literally look at the numbers. If they win Best Sound, they will win Best Editing. I just literally looked at the numbers. I think like the past 12 to 15 years, def, both sound, mixing. They started being combined in 2020. 2019 was the last year. 2019 was the last year of having separate categories for sound editing and sound mixing. But as I just pointed out, like it's not 100% the same. So it at least gets nominated for sound. The last movie to break that was Departed. Interesting. TJ, are you excited for Creed 3? I mean, I haven't seen Creed 2, but is it Jonathan Majors who is in Creed 3? Because he looks buff. He looks real buff in that movie. Yeah, Jonathan Majors. I think that's probably going to end up being fun. But it's also Michael B. Jordan directing. And has he directed anything yet? He directed Creed 3. Yeah, I don't think he's directed anything, eh? So it's going to be his directorial debut. So that could be sticky, although I've said this a lot of times in the past. I'm always really interested to see what actors do with a film when they actually get behind the camera and they're in charge of everything. Because you hope and you think that they're able to get really good performances out of the other actors because they know what it's like to be directed. They know the advice that's worked really well for them. And so, yeah, I hope that Creed 3 is good. I have not seen Creed 2. Should I watch Creed 2? Please let me know. You could also argue Everything Everywhere gets a sound nomination, in which case it doesn't break the streak. I mean, I would be kind of surprised if Everything Everywhere wasn't nominated for a lot of the different technical categories. Editing and sound makes sense. Production design, I could also see it getting nominated for. 20 Oscars. Just want to look at the... Actually, you know what? Since we were talking about Best Picture, who I thought was going to be in the top 10, let's look at who Variety is predicting the top 10 are going to be. So right now, their top 5 is The Fabelmans, Tar, Banshees, Women Talking, Everything Everywhere, Top Gun Maverick, The Woman King, Elvis. Hell no. Elvis does not have a shot. Get the fuck out of here. No. I don't even think that Butler gets nominated for Best Actor. And they also have Glass Onion and Emancipation. I don't think Emancipation has a shot either. I honestly think that like Black Panther, Avatar, and Babylon and Armageddon Time have much better shots of getting in. I mean, I do know though. Elvis is not getting a Best Picture nomination. It just can't. It just can't. It's just not good enough. God, I hope it doesn't get it. I didn't mind it. I didn't mind that movie, to be clear, but it's not a Best Picture worthy film. Although, as I say that, of course, it's probably going to get nominated for Best Picture. But yeah, I think a lot of these other films, like Black Panther, Avatar, Empire of Light, Babylon, Armageddon Time, they're like sort of outside of the top 10 for... all of the films that are outside the top 10 are films that have not been released yet, with the exception of Emancipation and I guess Tar, but that has been going into more... it's been out a little bit more, let's say. So yeah. Check out this crazy film on IMDb. Kantara, the lead actor, wrote, directed it. One-man show. IMDb score 9.4. What? So this film actually was playing recently at TIFF. And is it still playing at TIFF? Yeah, this is like a big epic film, right? Yeah, I've seen the trailer for this film. Y'all can check this out here. There you go. Kantara. Shiva, a tribal vagabond, lives with his mother in Hamlet, stays away from the traditional Devardahain and Hudakola legacy due to an unforgettable childhood incident. He is happy loafing around with his friends and doing petty jobs for his landlord. When Forest Officer Murali enters the scene, it gives a fresh dimension to the man versus nature fight. Can Shiva save the town from Murali, or is Murali just a dummy bait cast by bigger fish? Ooh. Yeah, I would suggest checking out the trailer for this. It's pretty high up. And it's got a 3.9 on here with what? How many? With 2.5K views. It's quite good. It's quite good. Elvis, picture, actor, editing, costume, makeup, production design, sound. You know, now when you say it like that, I guess it probably will end up getting nominated for some other stuff. Actor, I don't think he gets it. I don't think Butler gets actor. I don't think he's good enough. I straight up do not think he's good enough. He's gonna get beaten out by other people. But production design, makeup, costumes, those all make sense. So yeah, maybe. Editing wins. Dunkirk won Best Sound Editing. Hacksaw Ridge won Best Sound Mixing. Mad Max won Best Sound Mixing. Yeah, I mentioned that one. Whiplash won Best Sound Mixing. Gravity won both. The sound and editing are tied together. Not universally, not always. That's the point I was making before. It can pull a Bohemian Rhapsody. Ford vs. Ferrari won Best Sound Editing. Yeah, I know, I mentioned that one. Those are all things that I mentioned. There is some convergence, but I don't think it's a 100% for both. Austin Butler was unhinged and gave it his all. I think in the moments when he's performing on stage as Elvis, he does quite well. But in the, you know, the talking parts, he kind of falls flat and doesn't give much. And I think maybe that works against him. Although maybe it's only going to be the performance scenes where people are really thinking about it. I can pull a Bohemian Rhapsody. Don't remind me of that film. Let's all agree to never talk about Bohemian Rhapsody ever again. Actually, let me just check one thing. Best Sound Oscar. I wanted to see how like the most recent Best Sound ones line up. Did Dune win Best Editing? Best Editing. Oh yeah, okay, Dune won as well. So Dune and Sound of Metal line up. But then there are some others that don't. Tom Cruise get a Best Actor nom? I don't think so. I don't think it was good enough. Actually, I wonder if Top Gun's just going to get the same, or excuse me, if Maverick's just going to get all the same nominations that the original Top Gun got, which was what? Best Editing, Best Song, and Best Score, maybe? I know Top Gun got nominated for 3. So I think it would be kind of fun. Excuse me, if it got nominated for... Oh, it got nominated for 4, excuse me. So Best Film Editing, it got nominated for Best Editing, Best Original Song, Best Sound, and Best Sound Effects Editing, which is no longer a thing. So yeah, Top Gun gets nominated for Best Sound, Best Editing, Best Original Song, and nothing else based on what the original did. Who should host the Oscars, if anybody? I don't want it to be a comedian. See, okay, this is my one big hope for the Oscars this year, is that they don't try to punch down and they don't try to make a joke out of anything, right? The Oscars need to be an absolute, unforgiving, balls to the wall celebration of cinema. It should not be taking punches at itself. That is the job of the Golden Globes. I want the Oscars to go hard on love for cinema. And you do not get that with Amy Schumer or Wanda Sykes or Chris Rock or any other comedian telling jokes the entire time. Like, I would actually love it if they were to go back and do something like what they did with Hugh Jackman, so that he can just, like, do musical numbers the whole goddamn time. Like, that to me is at least tied in with the history of the Oscars, and it's spectacle, and it's big, and it's glorious, right? I do not want jokes, you know? I just want spectacle. I want to come away from the Oscars feeling like I made the right choice by falling in love with film, you know? That's what I think the Oscars needs to be about. And you don't get that with comedians hosting. You just don't. Because they're always going to punch down. They're always going to talk about how, like, it's ridiculous that we hand out awards to these rich people. Like, yeah, we know. We get it. But can we please just have a celebration of film? Let's just do that instead, you know? And leave the shit talking to the Golden Globes. Do the Oscars like how they do the Screen Actors Guild Awards, you know? It's kind of like, you know, it's very regal, very proper. Do it like that, but bigger. Way bigger. Key and Peele would be sick. I mean, yeah, they would be fine. But once again, they just be telling jokes the whole time. I just want the Oscars to fucking love. I want the Oscars to convince me that the Oscars actually love movies, you know, and to not leave that up to like little, what do you call it? Like, you know, those little montages that are like, oh, Alfred Hitchcock turned 100 this year. Now we're gonna put all of his movies in a montage because we love cinema. And then they have someone come out and like crack a joke about something stupid, you know, like, no. Make it big, make it ostentatious, make it a spectacle, but just don't belittle it. Don't belittle cinema at the Oscars. You must avoid that. In terms of like who I think would be a classy host, probably no one. I think everyone would be steered towards this idea that the Academy Awards need to be a comedy show. Billy Crystal was good. I mean, that was in the 90s. That was years ago. I was like 10 years old when Billy Crystal was hosting the Oscars. He's probably the best. He's probably the best Oscars host that we've ever had. But once again, it's comedy. I don't want comedy. I don't want to laugh. I want it to be serious. I want everyone to be having a good time and to be celebrating each other and standing up and having a big old time. But I mean, okay, I guess there can be comedy. I just don't want it to punch down on I just don't want it to punch down on cinema, you know? I just don't want it to punch down on films. That's it. Just have a celebration. Yeah, do Julia Roberts and Tom Hanks. Sure. Or Julia Roberts and George Clooney. Have them host the Oscars. As long as George Clooney isn't too smug about it. Actually, no, wait, you're right. Tom Hanks would be best. Tom Hanks would be the best host in that regard. I think he would take it seriously. God, I hope so. When I live react to the Oscars this year, every time someone tells a joke in poor taste about the movies, I'm just gonna boo it, and you guys are gonna know what's gonna be going on. Oh, by the way, I probably should have mentioned this. Hey, remember when we all voted on the films going into the Archive of Excellence for 2022? Because I remember. The live stream next week on Wednesday, I will be announcing the winners of that. So make sure to come back. It'll be happening right off the bat, right at the very beginning of the stream. So mark your calendars. If you want to know who won in all the different categories, you're going to find out next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What if Toby, Andrew, Tom were the three Oscar hosts and they just keep doing the Spider-Man meme the whole time? Yeah, no, I don't like it. I don't like it. They should resurrect Jimmy Stewart and get him to host the Oscars. That would be great. I almost said Jim Carrey. Get Jim Carrey to host the Oscars, but I don't know if he would behave in the way that I would want him to. Maybe get Arnold Schwarzenegger to do it. He would be too scared of telling a bad joke. Or probably not. They would just write a bunch of one-liners for him. Get to the Oscar! No one wants that. No one wants that. I would hope. There were some other things here. That I wanted to talk about here. Way back when we were talking about Halloween Ends and the direction that was taken by David Gordon Green and his writing crew, we also need to remember that he already has another project, and it's an Exorcist trilogy. Yep, and he's got the exact same writing team. So if you're like me and you were not a big fan of Halloween Kills, and you were definitely not a fan of Halloween Ends, this is only bad news. And actually, I feel like I'm maybe in a good spot for not doing an Exorcist tier list like I thought I was going to, because there's going to be 3 new ones in the next 3 years anyways. So, The Exorcist, directed by David Gordon Green, is filming soon. Like, really soon. This guy has been putting out like 1 movie a year, and he will be putting out 1 movie a year 5 years in a row. That is not good. Now, I see you, Panda, saying, yippee, another reboot. I don't know if this is a reboot or if this is a continuation of the original, or if it's like gonna, interact with Exorcist 3 at all. I'm pretty sure that Exorcist 2 has already been booted out of canon because Exorcist 3 doesn't mention it at all, which is great. And I don't think we really need to pay attention to Dominion or Exorcist the Beginning, which are technically the same film. That's an interesting story. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about this. Gordon Green is directing a brand new sequel for Universal, so it is a sequel. The first film is a trilogy, will be released theatrically, and blah, blah, blah. We start in a couple of weeks, and we're ready to roll up our sleeves and dive into the next great franchise. We've got an amazing cast coming together, and scripts we're all excited about. He continues. Okay, actually, that's kind of interesting how he says we've got a cast coming together and scripts we're all excited about. So they've already planned it all out, which is usually a good thing. He continues, I'm honored to step into something that's so valuable within cinema history, and knowing that there is a fan base that is curious, aware, alert, potentially concerned to see what we're up to. What I like is people say, is it stressful? No, it's exciting because I spend so much of my life making movies, and you're just begging an audience to tune in, or see what's going, or buy tickets to the movie. With these, I've got stories to tell, I've got an imagination to express, and the way I can do that within these movies is an incredible opportunity. So Leslie Odom Jr., who you will know from Hamilton and One Night in Miami, and soon for Knives Out 2, will star in the Exorcist trilogy, so I guess he's going to be in all 3. The first of which is confirmed to be directed by Gordon Green, and Ellen Burstyn is back as Chris McNeil. She plays Regan, the girl who was possessed in the original. She plays the mother, so that's cool. And Ann Dowd is on board to star. So there's 3 pretty good actors, actually. The first plot details were provided last year. Odom Jr. will play the father of a possessed child. Desperate for help, he tracks down Miss Bernstein's character. Okay. The Exorcist franchise hasn't been on the big screen since the 2005 release of Dominion, prequel to The Exorcist. An alternate version of the previous year's Exorcist: The Beginning. What a weird story that is. Those films came in the wake of 1977's Exorcist II: The Heretic, which is shit, and 1990's Exorcist III, which is dope. Most recently, The Exorcist became a short-lived television series at Fox, which is also pretty good, which was surprisingly excellent and cleverly took place in the same world as the original classic. Yeah, I don't know how much the series refers to Exorcist 3 or not, and that's the one I'm always going to go back to because it is the one that could have influenced the events of the Exorcist TV series the most. But anyways, the Exorcist TV series, I think it only went 2 seasons. First season's kind of good. Like I really injured my back, like maybe back in 2015, 2016, and I wasn't able to go to work for a few days. And so I just watched the entire first season of The Exorcist, while in pain. And it was good. I didn't move on to season 2, but it seemed like season 2 was going to end up being pretty cool too. So if you need a spooky TV show, The Exorcist probably will work for you. Also, in film news, we're getting a sequel to Twister. And apparently, it's got a good name. So Twister is reportedly getting a belated sequel, and it has an incredible no-brainer of a title. Can anyone guess what it is? Also, yes, Midnight Mass is a great horror series too. Also, just anything Mike Flanagan does. I've only seen 1 episode of Midnight Club, but it was decent enough. But yeah, when it came out in 1996, Twister was a game changer, a blockbuster that favored special Effects heavy spectacle over story, character development, even its impressive cast of overqualified thespians. The future director of Tar is even in it. Oh, really? What it didn't do was inspire sequels because franchises weren't yet a staple of Hollywood thinking. I think what's also interesting is that the same year we saw Independence Day come out. So 1996 was actually kind of a big year for Hollywood and how the future of Hollywood filmmaking would start to shift towards these big budget spectacles as opposed to like good movies. Although Twister is great. But now, over a quarter century later, a follow-up is belatedly in the offing, and it has an incredible no-brainer of a title. As per Deadline, Universal Pictures and Amblin Entertainment are teaming up for another round of storm-chasing action. There's a new script by The Revenant's Mark L. Smith, which is apparently so good that Amblin's own Steven Spielberg flipped over it to the point that it's being fast-tracked. Good lord. Directors' names are already being banded about. Top Gun Mavericks' Joseph Kaczynski has already dropped out of the production. They're already meeting with such people as Jimmy Chin and Elizabeth Chai Messerhilly of the terrifying mountaineering doc Free Solo, and Travis Knight of the Lakia stop-motion films Missing Link and Kubo and the Two Strings, as well as Bumblebee. Interesting. Oh, and the title, at least for now, is Twisters. That means multiple twisters, even though the first film also featured multiple twisters. It doesn't make much sense. There's an old, possibly... I've never really understood how to say that word properly. Apocryphal, I think. Story about James Cameron's pitch for Aliens is equal to 1979's Alien. As the tale goes, Cameron simply walked up to a whiteboard, wrote Alien, then added an S. If it's big if true, but perhaps having more than one twister isn't all that ridiculous. After all, this is an age of big, batshit weather that destroys homes and lives, thanks in part to how badly humanity is screwing up the planet. Thanks, Uproxx, for that. In the meantime, those wishing to catch up on Twister, which also features the late Philip Seymour Hoffman, Cary Elwes, Lois Smith, Alan Ruck, Jeremy Davies, Anthony Rapp, to say nothing of Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt, and Jamie Gertz, can do so on Hulu. Next is Twister 3 and then Twister Resurrections. Yes, I'm all about it now. Hot take, I liked Halloween Kills. I haven't seen Halloween Ends yet. Andrew, I think Halloween Kills is fine. I upgraded my opinion of it after watching it recently, rewatching it recently. But like, it's just fine. And I think that Halloween Ends is a worse film. So, yeah. Speaking of TV shows, what are your thoughts on the new Jeffrey Dahmer show? I haven't seen it, so I can't say anything. I had Netflix again for like a little bit, and then I canceled it again because I think I maybe mentioned this to you guys. I was watching Parasite on Netflix because that's how I decided to watch Parasite for my Bong Joon-ho tier list video, and it was so like the visual quality was so poor that I just got rid of Netflix immediately. So I think I still have Netflix for now, but it's probably gone like today or tomorrow or something like that. But yeah, I have no patience for paying like $22 a month and the visual quality of one of the best films of the last 5 years being not horrendously bad, but just unacceptably poor. So yeah, not a fan of that. The Joaquin Phoenix TikTok video is a new format for you. Yeah. So that is one that is sponsored by Mubi. Once again, if you want to try Mubi for free, mubi.com/Cinemateq. But basically, Mubi, they're not a big fan of the frame videos. Even though like it's the one format that is done like well, like it's got, I think like 35,000 views on the one Mubi promoted frame video that we've done, and all the other videos that I've done for them have been different from that, and I think they've mostly only ever gotten like 5,000 or 6,000 views, which is pretty low, not what they're paying for basically. So they wanted me to pitch them on like different ideas, and basically gave me a list of films that they were curious about if I could make content about it, and The Master was on there. So I just started like looking around the internet for, fun kind of stories about a couple of the films they were talking about, and I found the story about Joaquin Phoenix destroying the toilet on The Master, and I was like, I'll do that. So I pitched that to them as an idea, and they were like, yeah, that sounds great, do that. And then I just made the video, sent it over. They had no notes on it, which was a first. And yeah, that's the one that went up. So I expect if that one does well from a view perspective, then that will be the format of Mubi integrations going forward. Although we will see. I know that it was at like around 11,000 views before I came on the stream today. How's it doing right now? 13.7. All right. I mean, that's probably all it's going to get. Sorry to say. But it certainly performed better than the last one, so hopefully Mubi is okay with that. Actually, what kind of engagement are we getting here? The Master is the greatest film in America. The Hateful Eight, blah, blah, blah. I love this one comment this guy threw in here. Citizen Kane is a relatively boring movie and only deserves top 10, not top 1 honors. Like, literally no one said anything about Citizen Kane ever in this video or anywhere in these comments. And he's just like, Citizen Kane rant. And I know this user, like, he comments on my videos a lot, and I just don't know why he's coming in with that kind of energy. Wild. Just wild stuff. But yeah, if you haven't already, please go interact with, comment on that video, like it. I think the TikTok algorithm has probably already made up its mind that this video is not going to go anywhere, but it might have some further legs on it. So any further interactions you can give it would be much appreciated. The likes and the double likes and the favorites in the comments, those are always the best ones. Yeah, let's click back over to here. Your frame skills are Jedi level. Well, thank you. I'd like to think that I practice quite a bit since I've played it basically. Actually, yeah, Solving Frame 200 is going to get released on TikTok tomorrow. So big milestone. I forget which one it is. I forget which film it is. It would have been the frame from yesterday. So yeah, I don't even remember. He'd end with shooting Robert De Niro. What? Oh. Joaquin Phoenix hosting the Oscars would be so awkward. Yeah, that'd be actually hilarious. Oh, Tom, you've been here the whole time. Cool. Glad you've been here. Hope you did some good painting. See you around in one of the other streams, one of the next streams. 2023 is set to be a great year for movies. I mean, they're all great as long as you can get outside of the Hollywood bubble. You know what I mean? All right. It's going to be really interesting, actually, just finishing up this talking about Mubi. It's going to be interesting to see, like, if they give me any stats for, like, for the first 6 videos that I'm making for them, like, how many, sign-ups or conversions I've actually driven. Because I have no idea. What's the first A24 movie you watched? Mine is It Comes at Night. I think mine was probably Spring Breakers, but at the time I had no idea. Excuse me, I had no idea what A24 was at that time. Like, no idea at all. And I think it's one of the first films they put out, like number 3 or 4 or 5. So it was pretty early in the A24 histories. Let's see. Wait, what is this? Television programs? No. Stop that. Yeah, Spring Breakers was their 3rd film, and that was the first one I saw in theaters. And I would not have seen Ginger and Rosa or A Glimpse Inside the Mind of Charles Swan III because I don't really think they were in theaters. And actually, Spring Breakers and Ginger and Rosa came out the same day. Now, after that, what was the next one that I saw? Probably Locke, because that one actually made it to theaters. That is the Tom Hardy movie where he spends mostly all of it in a car. Then after that, I would have seen Tusk at TIFF. Might have seen Laggies. Yeah, I think I did see Laggies. I think I saw it at work, actually. And then what else would I have seen? A Most Violent Year, I definitely saw that at work, at my old job. Then it would have been Ex Machina. Other ones. Oh, yeah, then it would have been The Witch, Green Room. And then other ones after that. Moonlight. And then it's just been pretty much everything I can get my hands on since then. What is a better movie, Midsommar or Hereditary? I think I think Hereditary is the better film, but it also is playing with stuff that I'm a little bit more attuned to, which is, Satan. uh, or Paumon or whatever his name is. Midsummer's really good though. It's just a different kind of horror film because it's so bright, you know? There's not a lot of dark scenes, but then there's some real dark shit in it. So, yeah, I think I'd probably prefer Hereditary, but they're both excellent films. There's not a single bad year for movies. It's just the majority of them aren't advertised to the general public. Yeah, I tend to agree with that. It's, Dory, your first A24 film was American Honey? Really? I would have thought it would have been something else, because like American Honey came out like really... American Honey came out in like 2016. Oh, wait, sorry, I was confusing American Honey with something else. Yeah, that came out in 2016. Yeah, I would have thought you would have seen, like, considering the amount of films you've seen, I would have thought that you would have seen, like, The Green Room, or The Witch, or Room, or Amy, that documentary about Amy Winehouse, or Ex Machina. Like, these were all, like, somewhat bigger films. Like, I don't think A Most Violent Year, like, made it to the Oscars, but I think it was kind of, like, in that realm. Also, Jessica Chastain movie, and Oscar Isaac. It's a very attractive movie in that way. I didn't start watching movies until I bumped into your channel. Are you serious? No way. That can't be right. I've had people on TikTok say that to me in the comments, but considering the amount of films that you watch, I would not have expected that. So yeah. Wow, that's wild if that's true. If you're not just messing with me a little bit. But that makes me happy. I'm glad that I can turn you on to cinema as a whole. Hearing things like that just warms me all up. Oh yeah, there was other film news I was going to talk about too. Uh-oh. Things are frozen. Hut. Is it unfrozen now? Nope. He's trolling? Yeah, he might be. I think the brightness adds to the scariness. There's nowhere for the bad to hide in Midsummer. Yeah, that was kind of a thing that that was brought up when Dario Argento was talking about his film Suspiria. There's a lot of stuff that happens in that film that's in like the daytime or in like brightly lit kind of areas. And when Argento was asked about it, he basically said, oh yeah, the reason for that is that, you know, when it's bright outside, you have nowhere to run. You know, you can't hide when it's bright outside. And I think that was actually, like, if I ever had the opportunity to make a horror film, I probably would want to set a lot of that stuff outside because you can't get away. And I think that is, in fact, more terrifying than someone hiding in the shadows. My brother just came home and said he's going to see Black Adam. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Divorce. Divorce your brother. Before watching you, my letterbox total was 1,200, and now it's 3,200. Whoa. That's almost a triple. So you've watched 2,000 movies since finding my channel, and that would have been 2019? This channel's only been around for 3 years. Oh my god. Yo, that's wild. That's awesome, though. Damn. Alright. Oh no, some of the film news. Okay, so some of the film news that I was going to say is that, is his name Zachary? No, not Zachary Levi. Levy. What's his name? The young Levy. No, not Sean Levy. You know, Eugene Levy's kid. What's his name? Eugene Levy, Canada. Hopefully BP2 is good. What is BP2? Oh, Black Panther 2? Yeah, I've got hopes for that. Dan Levy. So Dan Levy is going to be directing a film. Panda, you're out. Have yourselves a good one. So Dan Levy, I found it. Sets a directorial debut with Good Grief at Netflix. Let's talk a little bit about this. Oh, it's got Ruth Negga in it as well. Sick. Dan Levy is making his feature film directing debut with Good Grief, a bittersweet comedy set at Netflix. The movie will star Levy as well, including Ruth Negga, Himesh Patel, Luke Evans, Celia Emery, Arnaud Valos, David Bradley, and Jamal Westman. Nice. In addition to directing and starring in the film, Levy also wrote the screenplay. Good Grief centers on Mark Dreyfuss, who chose to distract himself from the loss of his mom with a comfortable marriage, but when his husband also dies unexpectedly, Mark is forced to finally confront the grief he tried so hard to avoid, sending him and his two closest friends on a Parisian weekend of self-discovery. Good Grief is a cautionary tale about friendship and loss and all the mess that comes with it when the truth is something you've evaded for most of your life. Levy said in a statement, "It's funny, it's bittersweet, it's a project that has helped me work through my own grief, and I hope it does the same for other people as well." Interesting. That's cool though. That seems like it's a pretty decent cast. So that might be worth checking out. That might be worth checking out. And last little bit of news, I thought this was kind of fun actually. A little bit of fun stuff. Eli, you're heading out? All right, have yourselves a good one. So Brendan Fraser apologized for something that happened 25 years ago. He apologized to San Francisco for George of the Jungle traffic jam 25 years later. My bad, it won't happen again. This is the first time hearing about a George of the Jungle traffic problem. But if it involved Brendan Fraser just standing with his shirt off on the side of the road, yeah. Back in the 90s, you can kind of figure out why. So let's see what's going on with this. Brendan Fraser's award season with The Whale continued over the weekend at the Mill Valley Film Festival, where he was on hand for a screening of the film and to accept the annual event's Lifetime Achievement Award. I think I talked about that a couple of weeks ago, actually. Yeah, because it's going to be part of his Oscar campaign, picking up stuff like that. Speaking to SF Gate on the red carpet, Fraser issued a humorous apology to the city of San Francisco due to a traffic jam the George of the Jungle production caused over 25 years ago. Mill Valley is about 14 miles north of San Francisco. When we were doing George of the Jungle, George goes to rescue a parachutist tangled in the Golden Gate Bridge, Fraser said, citing the Golden Gate Bridge instead of the San Francisco-Oakland Bay Bridge, which was featured in the film. That means Disney put a mannequin hanging by a parachute from the uprights. It brought traffic to a standstill on either side of the bridge. Fraser continued, "My trailer was on the other side in a parking lot. I just remembered watching the Golden Gate Bridge. There's this dummy parachutist hanging there. I had the TV on and Oprah got interrupted because there was a special news report with helicopters saying a parachute is dangling on the bridge." And I'm going, wait a minute. I'm looking at the helicopters and TV. Somebody didn't pull a permit. Somebody's going to get in trouble with the mayor's office, so I can only apologize for that. Obviously nothing to do with him, but the fact that he's apologizing for it is kind of great. Later that evening, while accepting his Lifetime Achievement Award, Fraser again referenced the incident and added, "So that said, my bad, it won't happen again." The 1997 comedy George of the Jungle starred Fraser opposite Leslie Mann and Thomas Hayden Church. The film, based on the Tarzan spoofing animated series of the same name, was a box office hit, earning $174 million worldwide. My God. And then he went on to do The Mummy 2 years later. Fraser is currently an Oscar frontrunner, and we all know that. And I will say, it is saying here, The Whale, which has earned enthusiastic standing ovations at festivals at Venice, Toronto, and London. Ovations happen at Venice. People talk about those, right? Like, that's a thing. Big ovations at Toronto are more rare. And, like, he got an ovation in Toronto. I wasn't in the screening personally, but he got an ovation in that one. So, yeah. Good for Brendan Fraser, and I'm glad that he's apologizing for his past misdeeds. All right, I'm gonna close some stuff here. Yeah, I'm just gonna quickly track to see. I guess it's still getting some views, that TikTok, but not many. So yeah, it's probably dead at about 13.8. I'll have to double check the stats on that and see how it does. See how it's doing in the morning. All right, so I don't really have anything else to talk about. I will check the film news and see if anything has broken the last time that we've looked. Oh yeah, I guess people aren't watching the Star Wars TV show Andor. I haven't watched it because I don't have Disney Plus. But if you do have Disney Plus, you should watch it if you haven't, because I've heard it's very good. I guess we're getting a new Silent Hill movie. Oh. Throat's starting to tickle because I've been talking for so long. Who is Christopher Gans, and should we be concerned that he is directing A Silent Hill film. Do we not have an IMDb page for this gentleman? There he is. So he's directed, Brotherhood of the Wolf. Interesting. He directed Silent Hill back in 2006. Wait a minute. Isn't that the bad one? Yeah. Oh no, it's got a 6.5 out of 10 on IMDb. Never mind. Wait, he directed a movie called Beauty and the Beast in 2014, which also has a 6.4. Oh, that's the Vincent Cassel and Léa Seydoux one. All right. So maybe it's not all bad. Star Wars is too confusing and difficult to keep up with now with all the TV shows. I think Andor is probably not that difficult to follow since it takes place like in the lead up to Rogue One. It's not really connected with any of the other TV shows, so it can just be watched as like a standalone show, I think. Like, I can't imagine that it would be crossing over with like Ahsoka or, The Mandalorian or anything like that. At least I hope not. It does have, I think it has like a more serious, more like spy thriller type tone to it. So I'm going to check it out eventually, but I'm going to wait until it's done. It might actually be done now, so maybe I'll have something to do on Sunday. Sunday. Yeah, so that's all of the film news. That's it. That's all. So I guess we're almost at 9 o'clock. I think that might be a good place for me to end the live stream, unless you guys have anything else you want to talk about, anything else you want to discuss. I would probably use this time to read. I think The Mandalorian takes place after episode 9. No. The Mandalorian takes place after 6 because it has young Luke Skywalker in it. And Andor obviously takes place before episode 4 because it takes place before Rogue One. So yeah, anything that has to do with the Mandalorian, like Ahsoka or whatever, has nothing to do with Andor. So Andor is supposed to be good. Go watch Andor. If we want better stuff, we have to watch the stuff that's good. That's just how it is. I think it's confused. Like, I don't think that Andor is confusing because I know exactly where that is. But I think, the Mandalorian stuff can be a little iffy, especially since Ahsoka is a big part, or is becoming a bigger part of like that sort of generation, and she kind of exists during the prequel trilogy, but she kind of skips over the middle bit of episodes 4, 5, and 6, and then is just suddenly in everything again. That I think is a little bit confusing. But like The Mandalorian season 1, 2, and 3, the Book of Boba Fett, and the upcoming Ahsoka one, that's all in that post episode 6 timeline. Andor is pre-4, pre-episode 4, pre-Rogue One. So I don't think it's that confusing. Not as confusing as like the goddamn Marvel series. Who knows what's going on with those any given day. I think stuff like the prequels, Han Solo, Andor, Rogue One, etc. Right. I'm not excited for the Taika Waititi Star Wars movies. I mean, if they happen, there's always a chance that they don't happen, right? The reception to Thor: Love and Thunder was not great. Although Disney probably just is going to look at the box office, which I actually don't know what the box office for that was. Box Office Mojo. Thor: Love and Thunder, baby. Probably made $1 billion, right? Ooh, no, it didn't. 343 million domestic, 417 international for 760 million worldwide. That's not wonderful for that. And I think its budget was 250 million, so it did not break even actually. It would have had to gross $1 billion to break even based on TJ math, where you have to quadruple your budget in order to break even. So yeah. I mean, unless you know Star Wars, you probably can't put those in chronological order. I know I can't. That's fair, but I think also Andor is a show for Star Wars fans. So you probably do know the chronological order, or can at least look it up fairly easily. I don't know. Just go watch Andor. That's all I'm trying to say. Even though I haven't seen it, just watch Andor. And buy your clothing from vegan grocery stores called Coven. because they feel great. I'm going to watch Source Code for the millionth time tonight. Sick. Yeah, I'm going to read. I'm reading the third book in the Mistborn trilogy right now. I had to go directly from one to the other because the library surprised me with this book coming in sooner than I thought. So, yeah. Gotta finish reading this by like the first. And it's a thick boy. Oh, it's a big one. Look at this. 570 pages, and I'm pretty sure it's a bigger word count than the last book. And I'm about, what? A little more than a third of the way through. I think I can make it. I think if I read 40 to 50 pages a day for the next week and a half, I can finish it before I need to take it back. Not enough memory to open this page. What are you talking about? How can there not be enough memory? Is the stream still going? Okay, it is. That's good. The recording is still going. I didn't run out of hard drive space, did I? Nope. Still got like 200 gigs left. Probably should do some cleaning. I really do need to download more RAM. I tried to put more RAM in this machine once, but it didn't work. I guess I'll just close this. Yeah, that was weird. Because I definitely have... I mean, I probably do need more RAM. That's certainly a thing. But because of the way my motherboard is set up, I need to buy like 2 new sticks instead of just like adding, which is annoying. Stupid fan that they put on my CPU is too big and blocks some of the blocks one of the RAM slots. So stupid. I guess I could change the fan and then just upgrade to 32 gigs. Wait, do I have 32 or 16? Yeah, I think I'm still running on 16 gigs, which for a desktop is not great. Anyways, with all that said, I am going to end the live stream here. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Please come back next week where we will be revealing all of the winners of the Archive of Excellence and just talking about the movies like we do. So I hope to see you then. Have yourselves a very good evening and have yourself a good weekend. And Dory, I did buy low-profile RAM sticks and they didn't work. Like, they were faulty. So I can probably buy more low-profile RAM sticks, but I just haven't yet. So I probably should. Anyways, I will see you all later. Have a good one.
Get off my plane.
He's looking at you, kid.
I have been, and always shall be, your friend.
The Force will be with you, always.
In case I don't see ya. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Hasta la vista, baby.